I'm guessing people love hell, or they love the idea of feeling like they're in hell. Look at all these people, y'all. This was Zach's Brown concert that was in the Sphere in Las Vegas. Y'all cannot tell me demonic. Look at it.
Okay, these Sora AI videos are actually getting out of hand. For context, Sora literally allows you to recreate MLK's world-famous "I have a dream" speech into this.
Raining glyphosate into a container looks like a glitch in the Matrix, but it's actually a laminar flow effect, where the liquid moves so smoothly it appears frozen in place.
You guys are brand new here to the channel. You guys don't know what we do. Don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook. Anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
There was a rally held in San Francisco that was for a cat whose life ended because it was hit by a Waymo car. During the government shutdown, the U.S. Army told soldiers stationed in Germany to go to food banks. During the Cloudflare outage that happened recently, it took down most of the internet. Well, Down Detector, which is the detector that tells you if a website is down, was also down. The U.S. is going to give visa appointment priority to World Cup ticket holders. A cafe in Dubai is offering the world's most expensive cup of coffee at almost $1,000.
Damn.
It apparently tastes like honey. The UK Agricultural Department spent hundreds of millions of dollars switching their systems to Windows 10, and they just finished right on time for Microsoft to stop supporting Windows 10. Eminem is suing an Australian beach brand called Swim Shady because, well, a disagreement over how many eggs chickens lay ended in a shooting and multiple arrests in Florida.
If not
course.
magic, then how else did they make this man float?
Doing like a ritual or something?
What? There's no way.
The hell?
So for those of you that are non-believers in UFOs, this next video might just change the way you think. So a couple of guys were in Medellin, Colombia, when they spotted something flying in the sky. They took out their phones, they zoomed in, and they could not believe what they captured with their own two eyes. A UFO spinning in the sky. This might be the clearest video of a UFO ever captured. If you haven't seen the video, take a look at this.
Check it out.
Take a look at this. Watch when they zoom in.
New Andrew was
Right
it?
here. It's right here.
Look at that. That does not look like a drone or a hot air balloon because that would be too high in the sky. It's not even shaped that way. Look at this.
We found a fucking UFO. That is a fucking UFO.
What does that look like to you? This is just insane.
that?
Look at this.
It's like a diamond shape.
I freeze framed it and zoomed in as best as I could. What does that look like to you? And keep this in the back of your mind. The area in Medellin where they are has very high terrain, including mountains, and aircraft is not normally seen in these areas. So what the heck was this going around in circles? And the video has been shown to state and local officials. They had no comment other to say that they are just checking out the video and reviewing it to come to some sort of conclusion. So you know what that means, right? So once again, do you think this is coincidental to 3-Eye Atlas and all the other unidentified flying objects that have been seen in Latin America and even North America? So if this does turn out to be a real UFO, someone's got a lot of explaining to do and a lot of questions need to be answered.
Yep.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what you think that is. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
UFO.
So this guy made a video about putting his phone on airplane mode in December of 2014 or something like that. And then he finally took it off airplane mode this year or a couple years ago, and he compared it to the current top time period that we're in now, and this is what happened. So apparently, the phone that was on airplane mode since I think 2014, that phone was back in 2021 or 2023. I'm sorry. That phone. So we're in 2024. The phone was dated back to 2023, meaning time has actually sped up. That's what I've been saying. I've made several videos about how it does not feel right. It feels like the time has sped up. The time clock has been moving. It seems like how Jesus said it is the last hour. It seems like we are in the seconds, and it's looking like somebody's fast forwarding time from the outside of us so we can't really see it. If you fast forward a movie, the people playing the movie can't feel the fact that they're being fast forwarded, but they are. In the same way, the creator can fast forward time where we can't feel it moving faster. But this whole thing, whether you want to think it's real or fake, this whole thing is kind of crazy because that means that we have lost over a year of time because of how fast it's, and think about that. A year is a long time. A year is a long time. So this video, if you haven't seen this video, go check it out. It's Gabriel Diaz III. Go check it out because this is pretty insane. You need to see it for yourself.
How much would they have?
See, Kish, you guys believe, man, time can be manipulated, bro? Think about it, man. We're already in the end of 2025 already, bro. In a couple of days, man, it's gonna be 2026, man. Time is flying by fast, man. I know sometimes people waking up like, damn, like it's already the end of the year already, or it's already like 5 or 6 o'clock. Like time be moving, so it does feel like sometimes, bro, it's like it's moving a little bit too fast, if you know what I mean.
To pay you in order for you to do this job of cleaning this absolutely massive animatronic in water. Imagine falling in with it. Look how massive it is. Oh my God, you would have to pay me at least $1 million an hour. If you have submechanophobia, you're not going to be having a fun time with this video. This is the Murray Bridge Bunyip, and it's in Australia. You pay 20 cents for it to come out from under this like bridge-like area, and I would pay $20,000 for it to not come out of the water and for it to stay and leave me alone forever. Thank you. Actually, no, scratch that. It's even scarier when it's completely submerged in water. I hate this. And here's it when it was completely covered in oil for some reason. Imagine falling in with it. Imagine falling in with it at night. Oh my God. This is one of my biggest ops. I swear I think about this thing all the time. This is it in its pit when it's completely drained of water. Ew. Like, look how massive this thing is. Just look. Oh my God. I just need to know that I'm not the only one terrified of this thing, because I'm sure I'm not. I'm sure I'm not. It's a massive animatronic in water. Who isn't scared of this? If you're not scared of this, you are actually the bravest person that's ever existed.
Do not ignore this. Your house could be next. People are freaking out about this trend that involves young kids just going around kicking people's doors down. This started off as a joke but has escalated quite severely around the world and has led to a lot of people being arrested recently. This trend happened back in 2022, but it's back now in the big old 25 and it's worse than ever. Remember back in the day you used to go and ding-dong ditch on a house for a laugh? Well, now people are going and literally trying to kick people's doors down and see if they can get away in time, and some people are turning up with some accessories as well. There has been hundreds, if not thousands, of reports of this across the US in the last week, and in the UK as well, saying that you're having your door kicked in the middle of the night. But also for these kids, all it takes is them to kick in the wrong door, and it could end pretty badly for them, especially in America, you know?
I'm guessing people love hell, or they love the idea of feeling like they're in hell. Look at all these people, y'all. This was Zach's Brown concert that was in the Sphere in Las Vegas. Y'all cannot tell me this shit don't look demonic. Look at it. Y'all gotta understand that a lot of these celebrities in the entertainment business, the music business, they are soulless vessels. A lot of them lost it when they signed that deal. Look, it look like people chained up, bro. This shit is wicked, fool. Look at it. Y'all gotta understand that music is not just entertainment. It's a tool for power. If you control the youth, you control the world. And people don't be understanding that spells are real. I know a lot of people in that crowd just like, I'm enjoying the show. But little do they know, they are part of the show. Y'all remember the Travis Scott shit?
Get to see the underwater lake.
But the fact that it was in Las Vegas, man, is kind of even more eerie, bro. You know, how people say Lost City. Las Vegas, the city of lost souls, man. I don't know if that concert was like a symbolism for something, bro, but it was getting some eerie vibes.
Lake that they found at a certain level, that was trippy.
It was like the lowest point or something.
Yeah. The water is just a different density. The guy was like looking out his window. He was like, "That's a lake. I'm underwater. Why can't I see another lake?"
Weird.
And it was literally like falling off the shelf.
Not only that, like when a fish, like the submarine couldn't even go through it.
Couldn't
Oh,
penetrate.
because
They couldn't.
it's so dense.
When they went in the water, it literally rippled.
Yeah,
Weird.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's like Squidward taking a bath in SpongeBob. You're like, wait a minute, why are you taking a bath in the ocean? I don't understand.
It works.
But speaking of the ocean,
Yeah.
have you guys ever heard of the doomsday fish? This is the weirdest thing ever.
Where are you finding this stuff?
It's called a deep sea oarfish.
Okay.
But they can grow up to like 36 feet long, and they they look like aliens. They're the freakiest looking fish ever.
What is it called?
You can look up doomsday fish or
Deep sea or.
oarfish, yeah. Okay, but they call them the doomsday fish because when they come up from the deep sea, dude, they're big.
36 feet?
Just spotted one in Taiwan recently coming up from the bottom of the ocean. They call it the doomsday fish because hundreds of years, whenever the people of Japan, Taiwan, all these islands and stuff, when they would see this fish, something terrible would happen.
Oh no.
So the last time these fish came up and washed ashore, that giant tsunami hit Japan.
Okay, these Sora AI videos are actually getting out of hand. Not only do we have Jake Paul converting to Islam in one video, Sora said, "I concur concerning my father, please stop this." Because, for context, Sora literally allows you to recreate MLK's world famous "I have a dream" speech into this. But it doesn't stop there, because this week major content creators now also speaking out against AI and Sora. Mr. B said that these were scary times and expressed concern on how this would impact millions of creators. Casey Neistat said,
"My analysis, we are so completely
and the YouTube channel Kyrgyzstan, in a nutshell, that has almost 25 million subscribers, they posted a video last night titled "AI Slop is Killing Our Channel." But where does this even end? I mean, Casey Neistat asked his own team if they would get sick of it, and they said this.
But you don't think people are going to get sick of the fact that it's AI? No. What does it say for the future?
It's over. Yeah, it's over.
Some people say it's a good thing, that it democratizes creativity, similar to how social media democratized entertainment and gave the power to the individual so that they can one day compete with the likes of Hollywood. But others, like Robin Williams' daughter, say stop calling it the future. AI is just badly recycling and regurgitating the past to be reconsumed. You are taking in the human centipede of content, and from the very, very end of the line, all while the folks at the front laugh and laugh, consume and consume. The question is, chat, are we cooked?
It's a guy on this app claiming that he got superpowers from spraying dog medicine on his hands. He has a video where he's making aluminum foil levitate with his hands. You ain't hear what I just said, right? This man has been spraying dog medicine on his hand for 767 days. The reason he said he was spraying this medicine on his hands was to make his hands stronger. But he acquired superpowers in the process of doing that. Oh, you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit. Look at this shit right here. This is where he said he get them superpowers from. And that sounds nasty too. Explain this.
Spraying dog medicine on my hands to make them tougher. I can now levitate aluminum foil.
A lot of y'all gonna say it's AI.
Don't look like it.
Explain that. This dude has been spraying dog medicine on his hand for the past 2 years. And as you can see right there, the side effect makes him stronger. The side effects make things move. I had to jump down the rabbit hole. I looked at other videos. This man is lighting matches with a fork. This man is showing electrical currents come off his fingers. And I know a lot of y'all not gonna believe. Okay, cool. Jump down the rabbit hole. You go see for yourself and let me know.
The rarest videos ever taken, part 2. Here's some extremely rare footage of a pilot flying straight into the eye of Hurricane Melissa. The eye forms when a hurricane becomes powerful enough to organize itself. A calm circular zone in the center where air actually sinks instead of rising. While the surrounding eye wall is a violent ring of wind and rain, the eye can be eerily clear and still, sometimes even letting sunlight through. This is the only known footage of the extremely rare box jellyfish known as Chirodectes, captured off the coast of Papua New Guinea. This was only the second ever sighting of the species in recorded history. Draining glyphosate into a container looks like a glitch in the matrix, but it's actually a laminar flow effect, where the liquid moves so smoothly it appears frozen in place. Here's some extremely rare footage of a snow leopard caught on a trail cam in the wild. These elusive predators are known as the ghosts of the mountains for a reason. So few humans ever catch a glimpse of them that even wildlife experts can spend years tracking one without success. They live high in the remote peaks of Central Asia, blending in perfectly with the jagged, icy terrain, where temperatures often plummet below zero and oxygen is scarce. Their thick spotted coats act as camouflage against the rocks and snow, making them nearly invisible even when they're just a few feet away.
I couldn't even see it, bro.
I heard a new theory on deja vu. You know the theory of the multiverse? There's so many different paths we could have went on. Yeah. I had deja vu yesterday. I was having a conversation with somebody and they're like, yo, this feels like deja vu. And it was because we were supposed to do this the day before. So the way deja vu might work, it's a crossover of something that would have happened anyway. It's like a canon event that was supposed to happen and it just crossed over there. Because no matter on what timeline you are, you're gonna live that exact like canon event.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. But I don't believe in the it should have happened yesterday. I feel like
No. I was supposed to hang out with somebody.
Oh, and it didn't work.
Yeah, but we hung out the next day because we were supposed to hang out anyway. Yeah, it would have happened just like that anyway.
Yeah, that's fake. Though.
So it like lined up on a different path, but it happened because it was supposed to be one of the canon events it's supposed to happen.
Clams are
Seekers, tell me down below, man. What was you guys' canon event, bro? Seems like everybody got one, bro. I want to know your story.
dropped into a water tank with their shells wide open. But the moment contaminated water flows in, they slam shut all at once. You see, in the wild, clams pull water through their bodies to eat tiny bits of food floating inside. But if the water is too dirty, they instantly close to protect themselves. So scientists attach a small piece of metal to each clam's shell. And when the clam shuts, the metal taps a sensor, and that triggers a warning. This method is used to monitor the water supply for contamination, and as long as their shells stay open, the water is safe to drink.
Why is it that so many people find this video scary? Check it out.
That girl on the block is not moving. The coach is not even into it, bro. Everybody else is perfect sync.
Maybe it's because rumor has it that if any of these ladies mess up the routine, then they are actually... So they are cheering for literally their life.
What do you mean that doctors are begging people to stop eating these horse treats and nobody's listening? So by now you've probably seen this trend going around where people are eating horse candy treats. That's right, people are literally going down to the animal food store, and this is where it gets more worse. It all started with this horse girl, and she knows what she's doing. But then her video went viral and it started a massive trend. And other horse girls started doing it where they're trying more different flavors. And these horse girls who are professionals and are eating these are only eating like one bite. And nobody should be eating more than like one bite of these, because not only do these treats have like 6 or 7 times the amount of sugar I would ever eat in a day, and some people are literally loving these snacks so much, like they're saying that they're more better than real life candy, that some people are literally eating one of these horse candies a day. And not only are these horse candies literally made in animal factories where there is a massive risk of cross-contamination with animal food, these things literally say not for human consumption on the wrapper, because while horses eat 30,000 calories a day and maybe eat one of these, humans are only supposed to consume like 3,000, and eating too many of these could lead to diabetes, and they would maybe have to chop your foot off. Would you ever eat a horse treat?
Do y'all see what Indonesia got going on, y'all? Man, they have been going through it for like at least 2 weeks. I don't know what it, but listen, something is happening on the western region side of the world. They just had a 7.6 earthquake in Japan, I believe, today, if I'm not mistaken. But something is brewing specifically in the western region of the world, because Indonesia has been going through it for like 2 weeks, maybe even more. They have been getting back-to-back monsoons and cyclones and floods. Look at this, y'all. This thing is not stopping. This thing is not stopping.
Back up.
Y'all hear that water? Oh my God. Look at this. It's not stopping. The whole earth is literally going down. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I gotta make more videos.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 18. A man from Queens once spent 5 months in jail completely unaware that his bail was just $2. Since spiders molt, when you see what you might think is a dead spider, it could just be that the spider left behind its exoskeleton and is now bigger than before. Almost everyone on Earth is walking around with a bunch of poop inside of them. Scientists accidentally killed the world's oldest living animal, which was a clam that lived to be 507 years old. Statistically speaking, at least one person who comments on this video will not be alive tomorrow. The real reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of getting sick from eating raw eggs. It's because you shouldn't eat raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying over the field and pooping on the wheat.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
Turn off that camera on your phone, bro. It's watching your every move.
What was the Russian sleep experiment? The Russian sleep experiment is where they took 5 prisoners of war and kept them captive in a room for 30 days without sleep. The whole goal of this whole experiment was to see what would happen to the human body and mind without sleeping for 30 days. Kind of like a sleep deprivation experiment. And I'm gonna be honest, the way they were keeping them awake was absolutely insane. Not only having oxygen constantly pumped throughout that room, kind of like a casino, because obviously there was no windows because they didn't want them to know what time of day it was. Sort of, as I said, like a casino where they pump oxygen in, you have no idea what time it is, and you kind of always feel awake. But the other way they were keeping them awake was by pinning them with amphetamines to ensure them staying awake. Now obviously the experiment did not go as planned, with some of them just being unalive just due to the fact of being up for too long. Others screaming so loud that their vocal cords actually ripped out, causing them to be unalive. Now back in 2018, we were supposed to be getting a full feature-length film, a real adaptation of this creepypasta into a movie. Now there are some pretty good short films on YouTube depicting this whole entire story, but we were supposed to get a feature-length film a couple years ago. Now obviously this is a creepypasta, so comment down below what creepypasta I should cover next.
What happened to the film?
Facts that'll make you smile, Part 8. Seahorses will get married and perform daily bonding rituals with their other half. When your dog puts its paw on you when you're petting them, that means that they're petting you back. Cats don't meow to other adult cats, so if one meows at you, that means it's making an effort to communicate with you. Rats can learn how to play hide and seek, and they will squeak with joy when they win.
Sometimes in movies, when dogs have to look very mean and threatening, they actually have to redo their tails with CGI because they won't stop wagging because they're doing such a good job acting. When bees run into each other, they actually make like a little whoop sound. Fish are actually able to recognize their owners. There's this weird misconception with people that they think that fish can't see out of the glass of their aquarium, but they actually have surprisingly good eyesight.
Really?
Animal facts that'll blow your mind right out of your head. Contrary to popular belief, tigers aren't always solo hunters. They hunt in packs a lot, and a pack of tigers is called an ambush. as you can see why. Flamingos are naturally gray. That's their natural color, but they turn pink because of their diet of seafood. The black-footed cat is the most dominant hunter on the planet, despite standing 6 inches tall. There's a crocodile named Gustav that's believed to have killed over 300 people, and he's still out there. Oh, and I guess crocodiles got a new update, and apparently they can climb trees now? The chicken is closer related to the T-Rex than it is any other bird on the planet. There is not one report of an orca ever attacking a human in the wild. Dolphins like to get intoxicated, and they do it by passing around a pufferfish and using its venom. The biggest threat to a porcupine's life is themselves. They like to climb trees, and sometimes they fall and pierce all their quills right through themselves. Under all that fur, polar bears have black skin. It looks like a chupacabra. And the best fact of all, in 2022, the panda status changed from endangered to vulnerable. Go panda.
This is how you spot a skinwalker. On May 6th of 2020, a YouTube channel by the name Gemini Home Entertainment uploaded a survival video. And it was pretty basic, until it started to demonstrate the dangers of nature, calling one specifically an auditory hallucination. You can see someone camping, when all of a sudden they begin recording what seems like a man calling out for help. But if you take a closer look, there's definitely something off about this guy.
Yelling help. Ooh, like a robot. I'm gone. Deuces. Sorry.
To this, the video says, don't approach it. If you hear them, they have already heard you.
Yeah, I'm out. You ain't catching me.
I put the semen in a saran wrap every day, like 5 times a day, for like a month straight.
He would kind of like roll it up, almost like a cigarette, and he would attach it to the line that we had in the vent, and I would pull it through.
This story sounds so made up, but I promise you it's not. These 2 inmates who have never met each other before were able to conceive a baby through a prison cell air conditioning vent. While Daisy was incarcerated, she began doing what many other inmates do while spending long hours in their cells, and that's communicating with other inmates through the air conditioning vents. Juwan and Daisy began passing photos and notes to each other, and it wasn't long until they began their romantic relationship, all while never seeing each other in person. Juwan told Daisy that he really wanted to have a baby, but he knew that he couldn't do that anytime soon because he was most likely going to be in prison for a long time. He then told Daisy that if he could choose anyone to have a baby with, it would be her. And Daisy, who was so in love with this man, told him that, well, it could be done. Together, they both went about coming up with this crazy plan. This is where things get interesting. Juwan began putting his fluids in saran wrap and rolled it up kind of like a cigarette, and he did this every single day, 5 times a day for about a month. He would then send his fluids wrapped up, attached to a bed sheet that they both made together through the vent. And this isn't even the craziest part, because when Daisy received Juwan's fluids, she transferred it over into a yeast infection applicator. Daisy administered these fluids inside of her daily until she got pregnant.
These are 3 of the most
That's
disturbing
insane.
sexual reconstructions I have ever found online. This is number 1. She was found on the 25th of November, 1993, just 30 feet off of a main road. The road was Vance Neck Road, which I believe is in Delaware, but what really freaks me out about this reconstruction is that it's so lifelike. Even so, no one has ever identified her. They don't even know what happened to her. Second one is a John Doe of an unknown child. Originally when he was found, he was so far decomposed they actually couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl's body they were looking at. And what kind of unnerved me about it is that nobody claimed him. There was never anybody in this area who claimed they had a missing child or knew of a missing child, so where did he come from? And the final reconstruction is who they refer to as Maria. She was a Jane Doe found in 1952 by a hunter, and she had most likely been burned alive. Clay reconstruction of her is of course not the best, but it really didn't do much good in helping anyone to find her because it's been 70 years and she is still an unknown.
This is a weird fact, you know. Everyone starts out as a female. See, fellas, when you're in the womb, your Y chromosome doesn't show up until 5 to 6 weeks later. So you really don't become a dude until 5 to 6 weeks in your mama's belly. Why do you think we have titties that we never used? So yeah, I hope you have fun knowing that you were a girl once.
Mind blown to think about, man. We all start off as females in the womb. Then the change gradually happens. We all the same.
Teachers have been hiding this website for years, and I'm finally going to tell you what it is. This is Phrasely.ai. This is the only website that fools AI detectors by turning an AI-generated essay into a completely human essay. First, visit their website and type in any sort of essay that you have. You can even use their website to generate you one as well. Once you have the essay pasted, you can look at this little blue button down at the bottom called Humanize, and it will automatically turn your AI-generated essay into a completely human version. Here's the best part. Once you've humanized the essay, you can see at the very bottom it's automatically checked with other third-party websites to ensure that it's completely AI-free and completely plagiarism-free. This is a major game changer, and if I was still in high school, I probably would have used this every single day. I received the notification that someone was in his backyard. When he sees this, a man from Argentina woke up one morning to an unusual amount of notifications from his backyard's camera. As he looked over the footage, this ominous-looking figure dressed in long white robes can be seen staring at him.
That looks like somebody in a costume. He confronted?
The man believes this entity followed him back home after he tried communicating with spirits at a nearby gravesite. After this entity manifested itself, he explains that many of the neighboring dogs began to weep as if they felt its presence. Could this really be something as sinister as La Llorona captured on camera? Or is this all just an elaborate ruse? I'll let you decide.
There's some dark stuff going on around the world that the public definitely doesn't know about. Up first, humanity has wiped out 60% of the animal population since 1970. Just think about that for a second. 60% of all animal population has been wiped out. This is absolutely crazy, and we use all of these resources for food and clothes and just stuff like that. But when you hear that we killed 60% of the animal population, it kind of makes you think, right? Next up, we all know the mega city that Saudi Arabia is building called Neom. But did you know Saudi Arabia is sentencing people to death who refuse to move out of their homes so they could actually build the mega city Neom? And their relatives are being sentenced to multiple decades of prison time just for protesting and posting their support to the cause on social media. This is absolutely sickening, and I can't believe nobody is talking about this. This next one is going to keep us all up at night. But bacterial resistance to antibiotics is at an alarming level. There has already been instances of pan-antibiotic resistant strains of bacteria. This can throw us back to the pre-antibiotic era, which will effectively mean if you catch an infection, you will die. Just like in the 1400s. Finally, women are going missing from Indian reservations across some of the United States. Many are young women and are probably being used for sex trafficking. I wonder why they're taking Indian women from Indian reservations, and I wonder why sick stuff happens like this on Earth every single day.
Check out
Makes
the
no
terrifying
sense,
moment
man.
a man found the back rooms in real life. This is crazy.
I have no idea where the hell I am. This place is so creepy.
All that empty space. He's definitely in the back rooms.
I'm so glad I didn't bring Jacob or Tommy. This place is just, too weird.
Those chairs? All that open space.
I'm getting out of here.
Oh, those are computers. Okay. We got movement. Went up.
What the heck was that?
Why is everyone talking about this mannequin and its creepy backstory? This is La Pascualita. The mannequin has been in the window of this Mexican bridal shop since the 1930s. Now look, mannequins weren't even that detailed back then. Customers noticed that you could see fingernails, eyebrow hairs, and veins on the mannequin. By the way, we're making a Reese's milkshake. Out of all three of these flavor ice creams, which one has to go? Vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry? Comment down below. I want to see if y'all got good taste or not. Now,
strawberry. Not actually chocolate.
This is where it gets crazy. The owner of the shop had a daughter named Pascuala. And in the 1930s, she was going to get married. So, of course, being the owner of a bridal shop, the owner went all out for her daughter, buying her the best dress and setting up everything. Sadly, a scorpion had gotten the daughter's dress, and she sadly didn't survive the sting. People say the exact next day a mannequin appeared at the front of the shop, and she looked strangely similar to the daughter. Even the dress looked similar. Aw, snap. Look at that. Ooh, sweet baby diabetes. They believe the owner did not want to lose her daughter, so she dipped her in wax to preserve her forever. Do you think this is the shop owner's daughter? And make sure to hit that follow, because tomorrow's story is insane compared to this one.
There were some similarities. Weirder things have happened, man. People don't know how to let go.
Than the Ouija board is how the Ouija board was made. After the Civil War, over 620,000 people died. That's a lot of people. All of these families wanted to communicate with their passed away loved ones, and they decided they needed to figure out a way to do that. So this woman named Helen Peters. Helen Peters created the Ouija board, and she was playing with the board when she asked it, "What does your name want to be?" where the Ouija board spelled out the word Ouija. Well, a few years later, a man comes around and tells Helen Peters that he's willing to buy the entire patent from her. He agrees, but she tells him to be careful. One day the man is on a 3-story building where he falls off and he grabs the window seal with his fingers. The window seal shuts down and breaks his fingers, and he falls all the way to the bottom. He's still alive. The people go, they pick him up, and they put him in the car, and they're transporting him over to get to the nearest hospital. While the car is driving, they hit a bump in the road, and one of his broken ribs pierced his heart. One of Helen Peters' last ever words before she passed away was to be careful of the Ouija board because it lies. Now Hasbro Games basically owns the entire thing, and they sell it inside of kids' stores. This video blows up enough, I'll go buy a real Ouija board and we'll see if it's real. Like and follow. It's because of the most...
I don't know how people click those Ouija boards. I never even took the chance, man. And the fact that they sell them in the kids section of the toy stores, I don't think they should be selling that there. That ain't no kid toy, bro. Some dark history behind that. I do not mess with those Ouija boards at all.
Athletically disrespectful creatures on Earth. There's no situation where a cat needs to be doing any of that. You see, leopards had a problem. I'm sorry, Zebby, it's too catchy. They live in Africa, but they don't weaponize the power of friendship like lions or hyenas, or a clan of Cujos, or even baboon mafia. Being a solo dolo hunter, well, you see how that goes for cheetahs. They literally have anxiety, but leopards have something cheetahs don't. Two things, actually. They're the best climbers of any cat, and pound for pound, they're the strongest, and these are cats we're talking about. They're plenty OP already. Basically, you got Teen Titans Robin in the form of a weaponized panther. Huh, that is a rhino. Yeah, that is a giraffe. And being able to climb means they can dodge the same smoke that gets cheetahs cooked. So not only do leopards have the longest grocery list of a big cat with like 90-something animals, they have the widest range of any too. But they're also crafty enough to live right next to people. They will pull up to your front door in some places. And because leopards can and will murk anything, in some places they realize that pet dogs are easy calories. I can't show you this video, but by the grace of God and plot armor, the dog made it. Also, hot take, the most dangerous predator is a predator with predators. And since leopards get got by lions and tigers too, they're much more likely to be on site with people if they feel threatened. So yeah, leopards are a flex and my second favorite big cat. What's the first? The more you know.
This is why you always
flexing out there.
Will from Will Whereabouts was camping in the middle of the woods in Box Hill, UK, when suddenly, late at night, he's awoken by what sounds like human voices.
I don't think I'm going to be getting much sleep tonight.
Will explains he was all alone in that site, so what exactly made those sounds?
I don't know, man. Camping alone? I ain't doing that.
Jean Dulac and his evil doll. So in the early 1900s, Jean Dulac was one of the most famous ventriloquists in all of vaudeville. His doll not only looked like it was speaking on its own, but it appeared to move on its own and also had a voice completely different from Jean's. This confused a lot of his fans, but they mostly chalked it up to his talent. But others felt there was something slightly sinister about the doll. Reports that the doll was sometimes caught speaking even when it wasn't on Jean's hand. Missy Waters, a vaudevillian dancer and Jean's lover, claimed that one night she walked into Jean's room to find the doll off of his hand and Jean on the other side of the room curled up in a ball crying. She said a voice was coming from the doll speaking Latin, and it clearly was not Jean. The more Jean used the doll, the sicker he got too, and within a few years of his success, he was on his deathbed. And apparently, right before he died, he asked to make a call to Missy. According to her, on that phone call, Jean said it was the devil inside of the doll. He said that he had bought the doll off a man traveling through town with the understanding that if he let the devil live inside the doll, he would have all the fame and fortune he desired. His last words were, "Do not let anyone have this doll after I die." The whereabouts of the doll are currently unknown.
So he sold his soul for freaking fame and fortune? We heard that before.
Killer whales go through menopause, and it makes them the best grandmothers in the ocean. So orcas can live for 50, 60, some even reach 80 years, but the female will stop being able to have kids at around 30 to 40. Normally, shutting down the baby factory that early would be bad, but the female orcas that can't have kids anymore will then focus on raising their kids' kids. These grandmother orcas will leave their pod, using their decades of experience to teach all the younger ones the best places to find food. And in true grandmother fashion, the killer whales that grow up around this granny orca have a better chance of surviving and having kids of their own. And since the oldest orca was allegedly as old as the Titanic, they can even end up raising their great-grandchildren. By being that old head that we all need in our lives, the grandma sea panda makes sure that her genes keep getting passed down to the next generation by looking after her grandchildren. This grandmother effect is because female orcas that don't have their own children to worry about have more time to focus on teaching and looking after their grandkids. Moral of this video: orcas are homicidal equality symbols that are the biggest bullies in the ocean. But they're also the biggest grandmama's boys on the planet. That is the most wholesome thing I can ever say about them.
Really? I never knew that about orcas.
sit. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
What is that?
Dia masuk dalam kolam ni. Dia masuk dalam kolam. Dia masuk dalam kolam.
Looked like it was a torch or something. I don't know if somebody was in there following him.
These inmates conceived a baby in their jail cells by transferring his fluids, if you know what I mean, through the AC vent. I'm still shocked at the fact that this actually worked, but if you want to know the full details of this case, go to my YouTube channel. I just uploaded a video on it. In 2022, Daisy Link was arrested and charged for her boyfriend's murder. And in that same year, Joanne DePaz was also arrested and charged for murder. While they spent time in jail, they got to know each other by talking through the AC vents in their cells. For those who did not know this, inmates are actually able to communicate with each other through their AC vents in their cells. So what they do is they stand on top of their toilets and knock on their AC vents and communicate with other people in different levels of the facility. With that being said, their cells were connected and they got to know each other, build this relationship, and ended up having a baby. Let's just say that these two never touched each other, never met in person. They didn't even know what they looked like. You're probably wondering, how the hell did this happen? Well, Joanne came up with this crazy plan to transfer his body fluids to his jail girlfriend through the AC vent. The process of actually getting this done was crazy, but they were successful and they had a baby girl. Now, Joanne and Daisy are so proud of what they did. You can go check out their interviews on my video. They love the attention. But what really upsets me is how selfish these two are, because let's not forget, they're in there for murder. So they're going to be in prison for a very long time, if not forever. And now this little girl has to potentially grow up without not just one, but both of her parents.
I passed away trying to put
Something I
a TV
didn't think
in my
about before.
stomach. My name is Poe. I am one of the Teletubbies. Before all the sunshine and happiness, there was darkness and loneliness. We were 4 children, stuck living in a Bulgarian mental facility they called La La Land, where psychotic children were secretly being experimented on. They isolated the 4 of us into our own dark rooms. La La, the yellow Teletubby, was a child with a facial disfigurement, making her face stuck in a smile. Dipsy, the green tabby, was a malnourished child that was constantly sick. Tinky Winky, the purple tabby, was a deaf child who got tied to a fence and suffered frostbite. And me, Ho, I fell into a fire when I was young. Our only source of comfort in our facility was the little television in our rooms. But as part of an experiment, They told us they were going to take them away. We couldn't bear losing them, so we came up with the idea to try and hide them in our stomach. But they were too big to swallow.
Just when I thought I heard about all the worst cults in history, this one had to come and blow them out of the water. This is Colonia Dignidad. They were a German torture cult hiding out in the Chilean wilderness after World War II, aka Yazis. And to show you how terrible they were, let me tell you a story. That's a quick reminder, if you want more info, you can check out the podcast. The leader of this cult was a known child abuser, and he wanted more Chilean boys to be brought to him. So he started a hospital in the community and used it as a trafficking system to get more children. One day, a young Chilean boy choked and was rushed to the hospital. And right when he got there, a nurse scooped him up, brought him to a room, and saved his life. But later that day, his sister arrived and asked a nurse when she could pick him up to take him home. And the nurse responded that they needed to monitor him for a few more days, which is pretty suspect in a choking case. So a few days later, she comes back and she's like, okay, can I get my brother? And the nurse tells her that he's not there anymore. And this is because the hospital had lawyers on staff that were drafting up adoption paperwork when young boys would come in. The cult was able to legally adopt boys in the community without the parents' consent, and the parents had not enough money to do anything about it. There are so many more stories about this place, and I had never heard of it before, so make sure you check out this week's episode for more info.
Horror movies
How's that even
that
allowed?
haunt your nightmares. Part 2, Coraline. The soundtrack in the movie is a French children choir singing. Surprisingly, they aren't actually singing in French. They're singing in a completely made-up language. If you look on the wall of the dining room in the other mother's home, you'll see 3 portraits of silhouettes. These likely represent the 3 ghost children that appear later in the film. In the normal world, the boy is sad and has dropped his ice cream. But in the other world, he's happy and his ice cream is perfect. On the back of the chair above where Coraline's doll sits features a small flower-shaped pattern. And this flower is almost exactly like the one on the back of Jack Torrance's chair in The Shining. The Welcome Home cake features a double loop on the O. And according to graphology, a double loop on the lowercase o means that the person who wrote it is not telling the truth. But on the cake, there is actually only one double loop, meaning that Coraline is welcome, but she is not home.
Moment, this little boy was caught drawing a man hanging from his bedroom ceiling. At first, his father thought that this was just an imaginary friend, but then he realized that there was more going on here.
Let's analyze this.
Elliot, what are you doing? Oh, that's cool. What's that? What's that in the corner? Oh, why have you drawn that?
I'll see nothing.
Oh, really? What does he do? Why?
Nothing.
Oh, really? Okay.
This boy, whose name's Elliot, is seen in another video talking to himself, and when his father walks in, he's pointing towards the corner and saying, "Stop it."
Elliot? What are you doing? Oh, really? Right. Okay.
Now this is when things get creepy. The father decides to put a camera inside Elliot's room, and only 20 minutes after he tries to fall asleep, he catches this.
It's dragging him.
The creepiest places in the world. The Paris Catacombs, France. It contains the remains of more than 6 million people located in the underground tunnels. Bran Castle, Romania. The castle is home to vampire myths and Bram Stoker's character, Dracula. He is described as a Transylvanian bloodthirsty count.
We won't be going there. Loaded.
Toys that quietly disappeared, part 7. I'm going to unlock a memory in 3, 2, 1. Guitar Hero. Some might not say it's a toy, but it's actually labeled as a toy. It was pretty much just a giant guitar controller for a video game. Also, I can't leave out Dance Dance Revolution. I know you all remember that too. This is when interactive video games were peak. Next, only 1990s and 2000s kids will remember this. It's the Elephant, which was literally an elephant that shot out butterflies and you had to catch them. I know it sounds super bizarre, but it was actually pretty fun. Finally, somebody recently told me that kids today don't use and don't even know how to jump on a pogo stick anymore, which is truly sad. Because pogo sticks are iconic.
Truly they are. I have one.
Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run.
Oh,
A
is it that
drag
bad?
from an anime show is now becoming the real-life symbol of Gen Z protests around the world. Multiple countries have been rocked by major youth-led protests recently, and the Jolly Roger pirate flag from the Japanese manga One Piece has now largely become the symbol and face of these movements in countries like Indonesia, Nepal, the Philippines, and even France. Banners with this symbol in crowds are now becoming common. It's being painted on the streets, raised outside of people's homes, and in Nepal, they even hung it on the golden gate of the burning parliament buildings. In fact, it's even gotten to the point where some governments like Indonesia have labeled it a treasonous act. One activist from Nepal said, "We wanted the movement to feel like a Gen Z movement." So these slogans and symbols used during the protests were linked with things that Gen Z youth could relate to. And it's not being used just because it's popular. It's also because the plot of the show revolves around a group of young people who, while in the pursuit of lost treasure, aim to challenge oppressive leaders. And it's been so effective because this anime symbol transcends language, culture, and borders, and it's become the reference to unite and galvanize young people from around the world. And when it's seen in this context, it's now becoming a rallying cry for the new generation to hold governments accountable for things like corruption, neglect, and censorship. And with more Gen Z protest plans stretching to other countries as well, the question becomes, will we be seeing more of the One Piece symbol or not?
Has any of the seekers seen One Piece, man? Heard about it? It's just like so many episodes, so it's kind of hard to get into.
Here's some things that look exactly like other things. This strawberry looks exactly like the baby son from the Teletubbies. Okay, I know I'm not seeing things. You guys see the face too, right? And this person got a Snoopy in their coffee. And this person picked a strawberry that ended up looking exactly like a butterfly. Okay, who else sees the face in the onion? Okay, but these oranges look like a pair of lungs. And this egg looks like a scared ghost. This cactus looks like a person climbing up the rocks. When this tree was cut down, inside revealed E.T. Okay, this one had me fooled. It looks like a frog, but it's a backpack. And this sky formed a face. Okay, I know you guys see this one too.
Here are some things I learned today about animals. Male cheetahs have a special bark that causes female cheetahs to ovulate on demand. Damn chill. Fireflies light up to flirt and signal their desire for a mate. Maybe the firefly should get some advice from the cheetahs. A single elephant tusk contains enough ivory to make 8 billiard balls. The world's largest chimpanzee sanctuary is here in Louisiana in the United States and is home to nearly 300 chimps that were formerly used in biomedical research. There was an orangutan at the San Diego Zoo named Ken Allen. Ken gained fame for his multiple successful escapes where he would calmly wander the zoo observing other animals, avoiding aggression towards visitors but occasionally throwing rocks at Otis. Otis was another orangutan that he disliked. Scientists have done experiments where they put a hamster wheel out in the forest and different types of animals actually love to run on it. They've seen mice, rats, snails, and even frogs running on the hamster wheel. The Today Show had a chimpanzee mascot named J. Fred Muggs, and he's still alive right now at 73 years old.
And sing this little song. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run.
That's a pufferfish?
Bandmaster medical practices you won't believe existed, Part 2. Between 1850 and 1900, in an attempt to stop the practice of restraining the mentally ill and locking them in dark cells, doctors turned to a method that they genuinely thought would help, strapping patients into a chair and spinning them until they lost consciousness. That'll get the voices to stop. The belief was that this would shuffle the contents of the patient's brain around, knocking out conditions like schizophrenia. Often declared as one of the most barbaric mistakes ever perpetrated by mainstream medicine, lobotomies involved driving a large ice pick into the patient's head. Entering through the eye socket, the spike was then pressed into the prefrontal cortex of the brain and then struck with a hammer. Doctors truly believed that whatever the outcome, the patient would be still better off than they were pre-lobotomy.
The yogurt shop murders in Austin have finally been solved. So I'm walking my dogs right now, but let me give you an update. So if you don't know the story, in December of 1991, these 4 young girls were found murdered in a yogurt shop in Austin, Texas. 2 of them were sisters. They were all under the age of 18, and they had been brutally murdered and violated with ice cream scoopers. The killer then set the building on fire. So for years, this has been the most infamous unsolved homicide case in all of Texas, and one of the most infamous series of unsolved murders in all of America. Well, here is the new suspect. His name is Robert Eugene Brashers. He is a serial killer, and unfortunately, he's already dead. So we won't be able to get any answers from him. But according to authorities, the DNA found on scene at the yogurt shop actually matched up to DNA left by this guy at other crime scenes. Now, it's known that Robert had already killed 3 people. He was known to have been a serial killer, and he seemed to have a fascination with underage girls. Now, I don't know truly why it took them so long to test this DNA and figure this out. Now, I will keep you guys updated on what happens next, but I have to say, this is one of the biggest pieces of true crime news, I'd say, of the entire year. And my wife and I actually started off our podcast, Murder in America, by covering this story 4 years ago. So it's absolutely amazing to me to see that justice may finally be served here.
Justice will come.
Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run.
Rafiki.
Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run.
That's a goose mouth.
The craziest weapons you won't believe exist. The whirlwind cannon. Originally designed to take out enemy aircrafts during World War II, the whirlwind cannon was designed by Austrian physicist Mario Zippermeyer. This weapon actually created pressurized vortexes produced by explosions in a combustion chamber that were directed at targets using a specifically designed nozzle. Developed by the Bulgarian Secret Service and the KGB, the Bulgarian umbrella fired tiny pellets filled with deadly poison called ricin. Such instruments became famous after one was reportedly used by a KGB operative in the assassination of dissident writer Georgy Markov on September 7, 1978. Markov told doctors before his death that he'd been waiting for the bus when he felt a small sting on his leg, like the bite of an insect, and turned to find a man lifting an umbrella and walking quickly away. He died just 4 days later.
It's crazy. The world has created some unconventional things, man. And they just buried in the past.
This is the true story of the tooth fairy. In the 1950s, there was a woman named Tess Tickle, who was a dentist in Ohio. One day after work, she had discovered her husband having an affair with their neighbor. But before I continue, I advise you to check if your phone is being spied on. Save this video, click here, then here, and if you see this, delete it immediately. Now Tess was angry and heartbroken, but she didn't react. She just told him to pack his bags and leave. Around 7 months later, her husband knocked on the door, begging and asking her to fix his toothache. You see, he didn't have good insurance, and he knew that she used to fix his cavities for free. That's when Tess looked at him and smiled. She said, "Sure, meet me in my office tomorrow night." The next night, she put him under anesthesia. When her ex-husband finally woke up, he realized all his teeth were gone, and Tess was no longer there to be found. The next couple of years, men and women who are unloyal to their partners started reporting waking up to a dark figure who puts them to sleep and steals all their teeth. When police started to investigate, it led them to a cave in the forest. Then they saw something disturbing. Type part 2 if you want to hear what happens next.
Late at night in 2006, 2 men hear some strange noises coming from a forest near their house.
They decided to go have a look. After their footage went completely viral, they would admit that they actually only went into the woods just to scare themselves. They didn't actually expect to film anything. At some point on their walk, they start to notice more and more dead birds on the ground, and so one of them gets out his camera to start filming them. As they're filming the birds, you can tell that they're getting more and more spooked by the whole situation, and then one of the men hears something in the tree line, and the cameraman pans his camera to look.
What is that?
Human eyes don't reflect light.
2025 just got even crazier. Part 49. So, a 52-year-old woman living in the Netherlands has been experiencing a rare condition for around 40 years, where she would look at somebody's face, and their face would slowly warp into a dragon-like face. And the scary part is, she said she stayed quiet about this for most of her life. Until everything became exhausting after people's faces were literally changing into dragons all the time. But apparently she did receive treatment and the hallucinations have nearly disappeared. Next, I'm sure we all know that in Nepal, Gen Z came together to protest the government's ban on social media they had in place and cause the Prime Minister to flee and resign. And Gen Z then held a whole election on Discord and elected the first female Prime Minister of Nepal. And she was elected on Discord.
Insane work, bro. I see some of those clips, man. Should we dive deep into that rabbit hole? Nepal resurrection.
This was the real-life Fortnite. In the 1960s, a man named Hugh Jazz was a famous billionaire who owned a private island. He would hire men to take over 100 people from their homes at night while they were sleeping. And when they all woke up, he would make them compete in a game. But the contestants didn't know what they were in for. Before I tell you the rest of the story, I advise you to check if your phone is being spied on by clicking here, then on here, and if you see this app, delete it immediately. He would pile them up in a huge air balloon, and they were forced to jump out with parachutes and land on the island. There he would force them to unalive each other, so the last person was standing. The winner received a lifetime supply of riches and would have to sign an NDA saying they would never speak of this again. People who refused to play were permanently eliminated by Hugh Jazz. He would stay in an underground bunker with the world's richest elites watching this on a monitor screen, like it was an everyday sport. They would laugh and make bets on who would win or who would lose first. He did this survival challenge around 50 times before one contestant managed to make a raft and escape the island. 15 days later, when the contestant finally got to land, he told authorities about the famous Hugh Jazz. Eventually, authorities came to the island and found him in a bunker with 10 other famous and rich individuals. They were all arrested for their crimes, and all the survivors on the island were rescued. But eventually, Hugh Jazz escaped and was broken out of prison, never to be seen again.
Here are some things I learned today about animals.
Okay.
It is possible for cats to survive a jump off the Burj Khalifa because their terminal velocity is just 60 miles per hour. Sloths only poop once a week, usually losing around 1/3 of their entire body weight in that one poop. They also come down from the trees to dig a hole into the ground, and scientists still don't really know why they risk their lives to do this because they're slow. Just in case you didn't know. Minnesota has lost over 50% of its moose population since the mid-2000s because of a brain worm that's spreading. The Today Show had a chimpanzee mascot named J. Fred Muggs, and he's still alive right now at 73 years old. Scientists believe that native South American monkeys likely arrived from Africa around 30 million years ago. They would have done this by floating on river islands that flowed into the Atlantic Ocean, eventually reaching South America thanks to the ocean currents pushing them. This is apparently a process that was similar to how lemurs ended up in Madagascar.
If I can't make you like rats a little more, you can go ahead and unfollow me. Rats are ticklish and they actually giggle when you do it, it's just that it's so high-pitched that you would normally never hear it. Mice and rats blush when they're happy, and you can tell when their ears become a more vivid pink. Rats are extremely clean and they spend a lot of time grooming and washing themselves. Not only that, but they bond by cleaning each other, which is called allogrooming, and for a rat, the ultimate sign of trust is letting someone else do their hair. Rats are also neat freaks that will occasionally organize their food into piles. Pet mice can form strong emotional attachments with humans. Not only will rats react with excitement when they hear their owner's voice, they'll try to groom their human friend as if they were a rat in their own family. And these bonds can easily last a rat's entire life. They're not only highly intelligent, but they can show empathy and compassion. In an experiment, one rat was held in a special cell-like device and one was put outside of it. And every time the rat on the outside got extremely nervous and tried to free the other rat, even though he himself had nothing to gain by doing so. They got racially profiled because it turns out they're actually not responsible for the plague that clapped 200 million people. Scientists believe people caught the plague from other people, not rats. Rats sing like songbirds when they're really happy. Hope this helps.
This cop arrested his own daughter. Let me explain. So this here is Officer Kovac, and his daughter was dating this guy named Makai. And Officer Kovac really didn't like this guy. So one day, he tracks down her location and finds Makai's car driving. He then pulls him over, opens the door, and tells Makai that he's going to jail. Now, what did Makai do exactly? Well, Officer Kovac would just make up a bunch of stuff. He asks Makai if he has any weapons or substances on him, which he denies. And that's when the passenger door opens, and it turns out to be a friend of his daughter's. And coincidentally, he happened to pull Makai over right in front of her friend's house, which Caitlin, the officer's daughter, was inside of. He then asks to speak to the friend's mom, but she denies that Caitlin is in her house. But the officer then accuses her of lying because he tracked down the laptop's location. But the mom invites him to go look, despite him not having a search warrant. But he decides to go on another power trip and writes this woman's daughter a $200 ticket for not wearing a seatbelt, even though they were parked in front of the house and she was about to exit the car. And then the mom told him that now he couldn't come in because he was making this case weirdly personal. So he takes it back and decides to let the daughter go without a ticket. But then he notices Caitlin, his daughter, hiding in the backseat of Makai's car. He opens the door and forces her to get in his car and says that he's taking her to a hospital for a psych evaluation because he said that she apparently a few days ago, which she called out as a lie, but he still arrested her and took his name out of the running for officer or father of the year.
If I can't make you like spiders by the end of this video, feel free to unfollow me. Some tarantulas will adopt a pet humming dove frog and protect them from predators, and in exchange the frog eats the insects that would eat the spider's eggs. The frog gets a bodyguard, and the spider gets a tiny god frog for her children. They use chemicals to recognize them, so the spider will grab the frog, examine it, and then release it when they realize this frog is friend, not food. The Patou de Bois is one of the smallest spiders in the world, and I defy you to tell me this isn't cute. Jumping spiders are so small that a pair of photographers were able to put water droplets on their head and have a photo shoot with them. And here's what that photo shoot looked like. If there were no spiders in the world, you would either starve to death or go broke feeding your family. Spiders eat 400 to 800 million insects that would destroy crops, so not only would there be less food, it would be much more expensive. Without spiders, a 4 for 4 would be a 4 for 40. Some spiders raise their arms and pretend to be ants. Out of the 43,000 types of spiders, less than 0.1% are dangerous to people. They have tiny paws called tarsuses used to grip surfaces. I repeat, spiders have tiny paws. If you like spiders a little more after this video, you can thank me by following me on Instagram.
Growing up, Pauline Dakin always suspected that there was just something off about her family. Years later, she would find out she was right. In 1970, when she was 5 years old, her parents, Ruth and Warren, separated because her father, Warren, was a heavy drinker and was extremely violent. When Pauline was 9, her mother told her and her brother that they were going to go on a vacation to Winnipeg. They drove all the way to Winnipeg. They went inside their new vacation home, and Ruth informed her children that they were actually never going back. And when you're old enough, I'll explain everything. But right as she was starting to feel normal, her mother told her and her brother that they needed to move right now all over again. This time they were going to go all the way to New Brunswick. Once in New Brunswick, they stayed there for many years. Fast forward to 1988, when Pauline was 23 years old, her mother called her and said, "Hey, I'd like to meet you at a motel. I'm finally ready to tell you everything about your child." She saw her mother waiting outside, kind of pacing around, looking very anxious. When they went inside, there was a man sitting in the middle of the room that Pauline immediately recognized. It was the reverend of their church when they used to live in Vancouver. His name was Stan Sears. Her mother explained that the reason they had to move so many times was because Pauline's father, Warren, was actually a mobster. Pauline's mother found out she had a hit put on her head. Stan also found out that he had a hit on his head because they knew about their relationship. And Pauline's mother said, after all these years, we were just tired of being in hiding, and so we've already spoken to the authorities, and they've moved us into a special witness protection program for families connected to the mom. It's referred to as entering the weird world, where basically you have agents that follow you around that are undercover that track what you're doing and make sure there's no assassination attempt on you. She says, "Well, what happened to Dad?" Pauline's mother says, "He's in the weird world too." And so Pauline went back home, but after only a couple of days, her paranoia was so high that she called her mother and said, "I want to join the weird world." And so Pauline's mother told her that she would be in touch with one of her agents and they would contact Pauline when it was time for her to go. But the waiting dragged on for 5 years. Pauline started to doubt this whole mafia thing was even true. And so Pauline called her mother and very convincingly told told her, and oh my goodness, someone just broke into my apartment. I think it was someone from the mafia. Should I call the police? What do I do? And her mother said, no, I'm going to get in touch with Stan and see if he knows what to do. And just a couple of minutes later, Pauline's mother called back and said, I spoke to Stan, and he spoke to the undercover agents that sit outside your house, and they said that, yes, unfortunately, not one, but 2 men from the mafia broke into your house today. But luckily, they're in custody, so you're safe now. And it was at this point that Pauline realized her mother and Stan had been living a lie since she was 5 years old. There was no mafia. Her father was not a mobster. It was all made up. Stan was suffering from something called delusion syndrome, where totally normal people have one distinct delusion. And during his relationship with Pauline's mother, he passed on his delusion to her, which is shared delusion syndrome. And they took to their graves the belief that the mafia was after them. And so even though Pauline never got an apology from her mother, Pauline ultimately made peace with the situation by writing a best-selling memoir called Run, Hide, Repeat. Check it out.
That's crazy. So the fact that it was capped all their lives, man, thought their whole dad was in a mob. It turns out it wasn't true. Could you imagine having to go through that, leaving place to place, just getting adjusted and then you have to go? I can't go through that. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys give a thumbs up, comment down below. You guys are going to catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.
Traffic jam started by paid actors? This is what I mean.
Well, I see the start of traffic.
Watch this.
Again, this how it started. These the paid actors.
There's no reason they shouldn't be doing this. They're getting paid to sit there, she said.
What the fuck going on here?
Someone explain this to me. This isn't a NASCAR race. Why are they sitting there? The Matrix is gonna Matrix. The Truman Show, y'all. Stay weird.
Let me tell you some things I just found out about. The Guinness World Record for most birthdays in one day belongs to a Pakistani family, with every member, including the mother and father, having been born on August 1st. Arnold Schwarzenegger had an older brother who was killed in a car crash in 1971 while driving drunk, and they both have sons named Patrick Schwarzenegger. How did I not hear that one before? The Luxor Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas is the 3rd largest pyramid in the entire world. Tobey Maguire's father was convicted of robbing a bank. A New York man was arrested for keeping 7 live sharks in a pool in his basement. The creator of Pokemon was known as Mr. Bug when he was a child because he loved collecting bugs. Makes sense how Pokemon happened. There is a giant panda boot camp in China that teaches captive pandas survival skills before releasing them into the wild. I actually knew this one already, but I have to say it because humanity sent people to the moon before we added wheels to luggage.
Can someone tell me what was captured flying across the skies of Argentina in broad daylight? A large fireball-shaped object streaked across the skies of Argentina in broad daylight and was captured on multiple cameras. As a matter of fact, take a look at these videos. Look at that.
It's a meteor. It looks like it.
Straight up.
Falling from the sky.
He's telling him, look. When the video first starts, because it's so fast, it starts off just like this. And then, watch what it does. It actually gets brighter, as if it's igniting something to go faster. As a matter of fact, take one more look at it and watch how it lights up the sky as it shoots across. Look at that. After watching it again, what are your thoughts as to what you think that is? And the video did come from a news website source. So it did happen, and there's plenty of videos online if you search for Argentina fireball in the sky. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
A Nigerian chef has just attempted history by cooking the largest pot of jollof rice ever. But when it was time to be weighed, something unbelievable happened. Linda Baci already holds the world record for the longest marathon cooking session ever. But over the weekend, she took things to the next level. She made a 1,000-liter pot, used a massive 4,000 kg of rice, which is the weight of a medium elephant or 2.5 cars.
cars. She used 612 kg of oil, don't tell America, 300 kg of onions, 164 kg of goat meat, and to cook it all, 1,200 kg of gas. But after a brutal 9 hours, when it finally came time to weigh this monster dish, as it was being lifted by this crane, one of the sides of the custom pot buckled and gave way to the supporting legs. Now, luckily, none of the food spilled, but ultimately, despite 2 attempts, it could not be weighed and the world record was not recognized. But don't worry, it was not for nothing. The food didn't go to waste. It was distributed in containers and fed to the crowds watching.
Can you tell what this
Wow.
is? It is the Ursula animatronic from Disneyland when its head fell off and it kept singing. There's a video at the end if you want to skip to that. It is disgustingly terrifying. It's one of the creepiest animatronic malfunctions I've ever seen. And this is how big she is in comparison to people, by the way, before she was painted and everything. She is massive. She is 7 feet tall, 12 feet wide because of her tentacles, and her head just fell off one day. Like, she is an absolute feat of engineering, and Ursula is queen. Okay, my favorite Disney song of all time will always be Poor Unfortunate Souls. But if I saw this with her singing, with her head off, and you could still see her mouth moving, I would be traumatized for life. Watch this video and let me know what we're thinking, and would this freak you out if you saw this animatronic malfunction? To this day, I've never found an animatronic malfunction that was scarier than this one. If you know of any, let me know.
Check it out. Imagine the kids in the crowd seeing it.
Ain't no way this is Zac Efron, y'all. There's no fucking way. What the happened to Zac Efron, y'all? Am I lost? This is Zac Efron?
This is clone.
In 2025? This man look like Efron Zac. So y'all telling me right now that this is the same person that played in High School Musical, Zac Efron. This was a couple years ago. So how the hell he go from this to this?
I don't know.
It looked like on this picture he was swimming with the puffer fish. Nah, y'all, I'm being dead ass serious. What the be going on in Hollywood, y'all? They said right here was in 2021. Right here is 2025. When he had a daddy makeover?
Big difference.
He even got kids? Is this what men do? Did he get jawline surgery? Did his whole face get changed from plastic surgery? Somebody let me know down below in the comments. Who the fuck is this really? Is this really Zac Efron?
Shit that I'm about to tell you right
Look like he got a tag.
Because I didn't believe it. So a whole village in Russia fell asleep for 7 days. You ain't hear what I just said, right? An entire village in Russia fell asleep for 7 days. Mind you, everybody in that village is still confused to know why they all fell asleep for 7 days at the same exact time. But here it is. When that entire village woke up, most of them didn't even know where they were at. Some of them didn't even know who they were. And to top it all off, they didn't know why they all fell asleep for those 7 days. Now, everybody who knows about this doesn't know exactly what happened. They're saying that they believe there had to be some kind of chemical that made them fall asleep. Now, ask yourself this. A whole village falls asleep 7 days straight, and that's just regular? Nah, that's not regular. Something happened here. What kind of chemical can put a whole village to sleep for 7 days? That chemical had to be strong as hell. You even have people saying it could have been something paranormal. A lot of other people were saying that they might have been running the test to see exactly how people would react and respond if something like this happened. I guess they got their answers. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. You see that a whole village fell asleep for 7 days. If whatever chemical or whatever they did was unleashed fully, they might not have woken up.
Here's some of the creepiest ads that have ever aired. This ad was aired on August 1st, 2012, and was meant to spread awareness of the company Little Baby's Ice Cream, but it ended up spreading fear instead. If the visuals of the supposed ice cream man eating itself isn't enough to disturb you, the raspy voice of the narrator will.
I eat Little Baby's ice cream. It keeps me young.
It keeps me light on my feet.
Throughout this ad, the narrator tells you all the good things that will happen to you if you eat their ice cream. And the narrator finishes it off with their disturbing slogan,
Ice cream is a feeling.
That ain't no damn ice cream.
Pilates is demonic. Pilates was created in the 1920s by Joseph Pilates. He was a sickly man who healed his body through exercise. He taught his first method in New York City in 1926. On the surface, it seemed innocent, but there's actually a little more that you might not know. 4 years after starting Pilates, Joseph actually joined the Freemasons in 1930. The Freemasons are a secret brotherhood that's been whispered about for centuries. It's said to quietly pull the strings of everyone powerful behind the scenes. While his exercise has nothing to do with the Freemasons specifically, his membership connects him to a society that some Christians view as spiritually concerning. It's not Pilates itself, but the history raises a lot of questions. Joseph had studied yoga, Zen Buddhism, and other Eastern disciplines. This shaped his method's focus on mindfulness, breathing, and mind and body connection. So the movements themselves are not inherently evil. That's not what I'm saying. But the philosophies behind them are what Christians are very concerned about. They consider your mind and your body to be connected. And so when you're practicing these movements that have been influenced by things outside of your faith, by like philosophies and ideas and ways of life that you aren't familiar with, they believe that this can have an influence on you, like because it came from like other sorts of spiritual origins. So let me know if you think Pilates is demonic, and follow for more.
So
What do you think, Seekers?
World War II, they did an insane amount of nuclear blowing up nukes. They used a lot of soldiers for experiments to like on ships like in the ocean. So they would be on a ship in the ocean and they would set off a nuke and they would say, okay, now cover your eyes with your hands. And they said with the brightness and radiation that these nukes put off, they said they could literally see their bones through their skin. And one guy said, talking to the interviewer, if the bomb were to blow up behind you, not staring at you, he said, I could see every bone in your body.
What kind of cancers do these men have today?
I don't know, they're all old dudes, so they're probably all like super young.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like literally holding a flashlight or something kind of similar, but just fully
But he said you do
transparent.
this and you would see your bones in your hands.
Tan line would be crazy.
Just
Think of like nuclear testing videos. We have a ton from like the 1900s. Why don't we have any new footage?
Because I think we don't really test them all that much. I think something was passed where you're not allowed to necessarily set them off anymore.
You have to test what you're building or testing.
Maybe you can test the components.
Yeah.
So just imagine
Scary.
you face a tea with ratatouille marinating in it. This has to be on a whole different level of diabolicalism. How did Lil Squeak even fit inside of the can to begin with? And it's like we can't go to the grocery store, we can't trust fast food, because of shit like this keep happening. Because at that point, you either have to sue them or call up your YNs and go bump down on the headquarters. And you could tell by the tea that the rat enhanced the flavor. Went from a sweet tea to a Master Seafood tea. Yeah, like the Ninja Turtles' daddy. And I just know that she knew that it tasted extra squeaky. And what makes this worse is this ain't the first time Lil Ratatouille has been found inside of a can. They even popping up in people's energy drink. You think you quench your thirst, instead you gulp a bunch of rat sweat? To me, that's a reasonable crash out. But I'm curious, y'all let me know what y'all would have did if y'all found a little squeaker inside of your drink in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom, and stay tuned. And remember, if you want to learn how you can turn your social media into printing you money just by posting videos, comment down below ATM. I'm going to send it in the DM.
Be careful what you drink.
Oh, I didn't. But someone told me about it. So he had like a witch on stream, and he went to go visit her place, and they were doing a whole bunch of rituals and stuff. And he started getting really sketched out, kind of scared. The theory was that people were saying that he felt as if she was taking something from him. Oh, no. Yeah, like spiritually, and it was affecting him in that moment. So what happened was they were in the middle of something, and then he started feeling something off.
Like, I need this thing for my stream. I'll be right back, okay?
And he looks at the camera, he goes, pause, hurry, mute, and then just walks away, and then just leave.
Mute.
They don't even say bye to the lady, nothing like that. Just get out of there. Because people are saying that she was trying to curse him or do some rituals that he felt were really, really wrong to him.
This robot is the first humanoid that never needs to stop working because it changes its own batteries autonomously.
UB-Tech Walker S2 weighs 95 pounds and can detect when its battery is running low, walk to a charging station, and swap its own battery pack in under 3 minutes without any human help. The robot uses both arms to remove the depleted battery from its upper back, place it in the charging dock, grab a fresh battery, and install it perfectly while continuing to operate on its backup power. This breakthrough eliminates the last major bottleneck requiring human intervention in robotic operations, enabling true 24/7 autonomous factory work without any downtime or human oversight. Chinese robotics companies are now competing directly with Tesla, Boston Dynamics, and other American firms by deploying robots that can maintain themselves indefinitely in industrial environments. Factories could operate completely autonomously with robots that work continuously, never get tired, never make mistakes, and never need human assistance. Walker S2 is already being tested in real factory environments where it performs complex tasks while managing its own power needs like a completely self-sufficient worker. This represents the transition from robots as tools that humans operate to robots as autonomous workers that manage themselves and their own operational requirements. When robots can work 24/7 without any human intervention whatsoever, what happens to the millions of factory and warehouse jobs that still require people?
The girl that was found decomposing in the front trunk of David's Tesla has finally been identified, and based on all the new details we just got, it seems that this is not going to end well for David. So for context, this girl's name is Celeste, and she was found in the front trunk of David's Tesla, and it turns out that Celeste was 15 years old. And this is where it makes me even more sicker to my stomach, because the remains that were found of Celeste were initially so unidentifiable. This is where it gets even more worse for her, because Celeste has been missing since April of 2024. Her Celeste mom's just told TMZ that her daughter had been dating a boyfriend named David and had mentioned getting a tattoo with him. As the tattoo that Celeste had on her finger was a tattoo that said shh, which is a tattoo that David also has. A reminder that David is 20 and Celeste is 15. And this is where it gets even more insaner, as seemingly David didn't even have this shish tattoo until a year ago. And remember, the night that the body was found in David's front, David went on stage in Minneapolis and seemingly did not directly address this, as he has allegedly been cooperative. And remember, this is all alleged and nothing has been confirmed yet. A lot of people are saying that after a 15-year-old with a matching tattoo of you found in your car is not a good look.
It's not a... See, Chris, what do you guys think about the David situation, bro? That's crazy. It's a whole lot of information came out yesterday, man, and it wasn't looking good, bro. Can't believe Jason Wayne did a song with them, man. I mean, nobody knew, but that's just crazy.
As you might think. For years, Disney's been accused of hiding adult subliminal jokes in their movies. This one, boys, is actually true. Actual Disney animators have admitted that they slip subtle jokes in for the parents when creating these movies, as they know the kids won't get it or understand it anyway, but it just actually makes it a little bit more enjoyable for the parents who are watching it. For instance, the priest in The Little Mermaid looking just a little bit too happy. And one of the craziest ones you probably haven't seen before. In Zootopia, there's a Breaking Bad parodying reference. The sheep villains run a you-know-what lab, creating the blue stuff, and they're both named Walt and Jesse. So Disney do hide these things in their movie, but once you see them, you definitely can't unsee them. But this one most definitely is a truth.
Jersey just legalized compost made of human remains. So within the next 10 months in New Jersey, you'll be able to turn a loved one that passed away into compost. Now apparently this whole human to compost process takes about 45 days to complete, and it, quote, gently turns the body into nutrient-rich soil. Now this is achieved by placing a human into a vessel filled with organic materials, which is then sealed and attached to an HVAC system. Well, even though this all is new to New Jersey, it is not new to the US itself, as back in 2019, Washington became the first state to legalize this whole human composting process. And since then, a couple of other states like New York and now New Jersey have also followed suit. Now, after the process is done, you can decide if you want a little bit of the compost to spread sort of similar to ashes, or if you want a lot so you can, like, plant a plant with it. Note to self, remind me not to eat any crops from New Jersey or New York. But the whole reason this exists is to sort of be an alternative to cemeteries, since a lot of them are getting overcrowded. New Jersey is the 14th state to legalize this practice since it started all the way back in 2019.
When I was a child, I loved playing the Mario Brothers. But now that I'm older, I understand why I love playing this video game. I used to think it was all fun and games, but now I'm more mature. I understand they was laughing at us. Once you start studying spirituality, you will understand that the goddess Sophia created everything. The name Sophia means wisdom. When you play the Mario Brothers, you see Princess Toadstool. She represents Sophia, the goddess. King Cooper is the one that stole the goddess. King Cooper represents the Dracolians or the reptilians. It's a lot of conspiracies that's going around saying that alien reptilians control this world. Well, King Cooper represents reptilians, and the politicians may be reptilians. In order to save the princess or the goddess, you have to beat 8 castles. The 8 castles is connected to the 8 phases of the moon. King Cooper or the reptilian had 7 children. He made 8. The 8 phases of the moon represents the 8 castles. Reptiles is known to be cold-blooded creatures. The moon is known to be ice cold because the reptilians live there. When you play this game, you can take mushrooms and it make you stronger. In our reality, you take magic mushrooms and it tap you into the spiritual world. When you turn the game on, you start at world 1 with 5 lives. 5 lives represents reincarnation. You only have 5 chances to get it right. This video is about to get a little dark. Stay with me. If you ever play this video game, you notice every time Mario go down the pipe, he is going to a different world. That world represents different dimensions. If you want to travel to different realities.
So this is what they mean by New York not being a real place, because not only do you have cars dropping into massive sinkholes, but New York also experienced some type of crazy hailstorm yesterday as well too, y'all. Look at this, y'all. That's crazy. Right after the car fell into that pothole, New York was like, here, let me fill that pothole with some ice. And look at this, y'all. The heavy wind, rain, and ice was really coming down at one point in time. Look at this deck over here, y'all. It looked like little salt pebbles, doesn't it? Right? The earth is being salted right now, man. The season is here. That's crazy. It seems that New York is definitely doing its part out in the Matrix. This hailstorm caused some significant damage to some cars. New York has also been getting tornado warnings. This wasn't a tornado that would knock down the tree, but this hailstorm was accompanied with heavy winds, and it was knocking down trees onto the ground. Ice is everywhere, y'all. I told y'all, man. ICE is in the form of government, and you know this over here, that ICE is working overtime all over the planet, y'all. In the form of government, you know, hot as hell, you know, and then you get ice as hell. Ice as hell as well too. Vanilla ice, baby. The ship is here. Let's get it. Peace out.
North America. Before I display him, I highly suggest you comment that you claim no negative energy in this video. Now, before I start, Robert, I respect you, and all I am doing is telling your story. In the late 1800s, Thomas Otto and his family moved into a mansion in Key West, Florida. The Ottos were known to be stern with their servants, sometimes even mistreating them. There was a woman who was hired to take care of their son Robert, and one day Mrs. Otto supposedly witnessed her practicing black magic in their backyard and fired her. Before she left, the woman gave Robert a lifelike doll which stood 3 feet tall, had buttons for eyes, and human hair believed to be Robert's. Soon after, Robert chose to be referred by his middle name, Gene, after being scolded by his mother. He told her that Robert was the doll's name, not his. Gene was often heard in his toy room having conversations with Robert. Household objects would be found thrown across the room. Gene's toys turned up mutilated and giggling could be heard. Robert supposedly attacked people, sometimes locking them in the attic. One certain night, Robert was found at the foot of the owner's bed, giggling with a kitchen knife in hand. Robert was later moved to the East Martello Museum in Key West, where he sits perched in a glass box to this day. One employee cleaned Robert, turned off all the lights, and left for the night. The next day, he returned to find lights turned on and Robert sitting in a different position than the night before, and a fresh layer of dust on his shoes. Some say he'll even curse you. If you want to take a picture of him, you may ask politely. He'll tilt his head in permission. Now I just want to say again, Robert, I respect you, and I am just trying to tell more people about your story. Have you seen Robert in person? Have you ever had any experiences with him? Let me know in the comments.
Stay away from Robert, man. Looks like I have some bad energy.
SpongeBob night. Wi-Fi off.
Papa.
What you say? Who are you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
He said, hi, Papa, hi. I mean, you know, sometimes, like I said, kids, people be thinking they're talking to, like, that. I guess they're imaginary friends or something like that. But what happens if, man, if they're really talking to, like, a spirit, or they be seeing spirits? That's an interesting thing I'm going to propose to you guys. What do you guys think? Cooking on that one.
Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head and they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head.
Classic.
And they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head and they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head and they won't go.
Don't ever stay up past midnight again, especially during a sleepover. This, my friends, is the Midnight Clown. Click the plus, drop a like, tag a friend, share it through. He might show up at your house tonight. He's an absolutely insane, vindictive clown, targeting kids who are having sleepovers. Kids being distracted, he ends up killing the parents. Then when the kids come downstairs to use the bathroom, they notice their parents. And then all of them are never seen again. And I actually just reacted to a video of people ordering a clown off the dark web. The first 100 people to click the link in my bio, subscribe, like, and comment on that video will get a shout out. Good luck, my friends.
You go to clowns off the dark web? That's news to me. What the hell is going on there? There's really a market for everything and anything, man. Who wants to buy a clown off the dark web of that? I had no idea. You know what that is.
Rare photos of fascinating people through history. This was Jacques Plante, the first goalie in hockey to ever wear a protective face mask in 1959, and I think you could see why. In 1964, Randy Gardner set the world record for the longest time without sleep, staying awake for 264 hours. The objects that are next to him were used to prove that he was still lucid. This was Maurice Tillett, a wrestler known as the French Angel. Some say he inspired Shrek, and he went undefeated for 18 months in the early 1940s. In 1907, this swimmer, Annette Kellerman, was arrested for indecency for wearing this exact bathing suit at Revere Beach in Massachusetts. This is Brumasia Gelgi, the world's tallest woman at just over 7 feet. This was Valentine Tapley, who vowed in 1860 to never cut his beard if Lincoln was elected. Here he is in 1896. He placed 5th in a world's longest beard competition. They had some long beards back then, apparently. Oh my goodness. This was Albert Woolson, the last surviving Civil War veteran. He fought for the Union Army and died in 1956 at 106 years old. This was Ham, the chimpanzee, the first ape launched into space. His mission tested cognitive function and safety. It was successful, and he actually returned unharmed. This was Charlotte and Marjorie Collier, a mother and daughter who survived the Titanic. Charlotte's husband and Marjorie's father, Harvey, died in the wreck, and they also lost their life savings of 5,000 pounds in cash.
These are human body parts that may disappear in the future. First up is body hair. Originally, it protected ancient humans from harsh weather conditions. However, over time, with modern clothes and changes in environmental conditions, human body hair has significantly decreased and continues to do so. Many scientists believe it might eventually completely disappear. Next are wisdom teeth. They used to serve an evolutionary purpose for ancient humans who had much rougher diets and needed more chewing power. But our diets have softened and our jaws have become increasingly smaller. As a result, they have no space to properly grow in, and many people need to have them surgically removed. Many babies are now being born without wisdom teeth, and scientists believe this will eventually be the standard. Finally, we have male nipples. Everyone starts as female in the womb, and before the Y chromosome kicks in for males, nipples have already formed. When the baby becomes male, the prolactin levels decrease, making the male nipples non-functional. So while it's debated, some scientists think they'll disappear. Rare people who
got male nipples gonna disappear now, bro? Could you guys even imagine that, bro? I'm thinking, imagine that, man. That would look like nightmare fuel to me. I just can't even imagine that. That's freaking screwed up my mind. But we evolving. So I guess that's what comes with it.
who are unique in the world. First, this
11-year-old Mexican girl has an IQ higher than Einstein's. Meet Adhara Perez. At just 11 years old, Adhara Perez Sanchez has an impressive record and an IQ that surpasses that of Einstein, as well as Stephen Hawking, whom she has always admired. Diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, Adhara started speaking late. Her teachers did not have high expectations for her future. However, thanks to her academic progress, she completed elementary school at the age of 5 and high school at 8. At 9 years old, she gave a lecture on black holes at an event organized by the Institute of Art and Culture of Mexico City, and published a book in which she shared her experience as a high-functioning autistic child, dedicated to children who suffer from the same condition as her. She has also been recognized by Forbes as one of the 100 most influential women in Mexico. Adhara is pursuing a master's degree in mathematical engineering at the Technological University of Mexico City. She is passionate about the cosmos and the stars. She dreams of joining NASA and participating in the exploration of the planet Mars. She also plans to design a connected bracelet capable of detecting emotions and preventing epileptic seizures.
This girl married
She
her
can
family
accomplish all that and more.
while pregnant with her ex-husband's baby, and then proceeded to become the first empress of Rome. Meet Livia Drusilla, or simply Livia. Now let me explain. Livia was born in a very important family. She belonged to the patrician gens of the Claudi. She's still a child when Julius Caesar has his rise to power, and she's about 16 when he gets. At 17, her father marries her off to Tiberius Claudius Nero. At that time, we have Mark Antony and Octavian that are determined to A, vindicate Julius Caesar, and B, through that, gain power. So she marries Tiberius Claudius Nero, and as soon as she gets married, she sees him off to war. Why? Because at the time, we have Mark Antony and Octavian on one side, who are fighting against the people that Caesar, Brutus, and Cassius. Both Livia's father and Livia's husband fight with Brutus and Cassius against Octavian and Mark Antony. So her family, and probably herself, really hate this guy over here. Octavian wins, Brutus and Cassius get. Livia, in the meantime, has her first child. She's definitely not happy about the situation. Together with her husband, she's forced to flee Rome to avoid the recrimination of Octavian against his enemies. They go to Sicily, where her husband supports yet another of Octavian's opponents, Sextus Pompeius. After that, she's forced to move to Greece. So by now, she's probably like this, absolutely not amused, being like, this guy Octavian is literally ruining my life. She's never seen him, but she sure hates him. Eventually, an agreement is reached between Octavian and Sextus Pompeius. A general amnesty is announced. That means no recriminations of any sort. It means that Livia can finally return to Rome. And here's where the war movie turns into a rom-com. Because as soon as Octavian, the man that her husband has been fighting against all this while, sees her, he falls for her instantly. But there's a problem, she's married. And there's another problem, he's married as well. Follow for part 2.
There's a part 2 to that? What the heck? I was getting a good history lesson right there, man. Thinking about ancient Rome and all that. I've been watching like some of the that Gladiator series that was by Stars. Some people call it like the first Game of Thrones. What is it called? It's called Spartacus, yeah. I just wanted to let you guys know that.
2025 just got even crazier. Part 17. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France, if you didn't know. But in 2025, a French lawmaker came out and claimed they want the Statue of Liberty back, and said, we gave it to you as a gift, but apparently you despise it. It will be just fine here at home. Now, people online saw this and said, we'll give the Statue of Liberty back, but in return, we get the Eiffel Tower. Oh my goodness. Next, when a delivery driver went to Starbucks to get hot tea, one of the hot venti-sized drinks fell onto the delivery driver's lap. Well, the man has now been awarded $50 million in damages from Starbucks because of the burns from the drink. America has a new...
Freaking fit. Could you guys imagine burns on that nigga damn legs like that? What the heck is going on? How can someone just spill that, man? At least you got justice, bro. $50 million. You got his justice.
Gun, and it's one that uses facial recognition and fingerprint scanners. It's called the BioFire Smart Gun. It's the first to actually hit the market, and it's more controversial than you think. You see, to try and push for more firearm safety, this gun only works when its registered owner scans their face or their fingerprint, and the gun locks and becomes unusable as soon as it leaves their hand. It's also trickier to build one of these than you think, because it's not just a gun with a fingerprint scanner slapped on the top. It's actually the first gun ever to not rely on a physical trigger mechanism, but rather it sends an electrical signal to fire the bullets, and it can only get that signal if it's in the owner's hands. But also because of that, it's roughly twice the price at $1,500. Gun control advocates think it's a great idea, saying at least it can't be used in the wrong hands like a child or a criminal. But some firearm enthusiasts not so keen. They fear that this technology could malfunction when you need it the most, or could be used as a slippery slope for more gun control laws over time. The question is, what do you guys think? Is this the gun that America needs, or not? This is the disturbing truth behind Home Alone. Okay, so we all know and love the movie Home Alone. But did you know the disturbing truth behind it? So, Kevin McAllister grows up to be Jigsaw in the Saw franchise. If you think about it, the traps that Kevin made in Home Alone were extremely sophisticated and advanced, especially for a kid. So, as he got older, his traps became way more brutal, twisted, and complex as an adult. So, Kevin McAllister is actually Jigsaw, and he fell in love putting people in traps ever since the robbers tried to rob his house.
Okay, that one was kind of out of my mind turning, because I can kind of see that we know it's a theory, man, but you know, like it says, Jigsaw Saw, he loves his traps, man. Home Alone Kevin, he loves his traps also, man. So I definitely see some of the similarities between those two men, but I think that theory is kind of out there. And didn't they just announce like a couple of days ago that they're not making a new Saw movie, like it got canceled? So I don't know, man. That theory is kind of hard for me to get on, but I can see the similarities, though. Maybe he got inspired by him, man.
Top 3 strangest ways that people have died. Most people know what a Segway is. They came out just under 20 years ago, and they're basically a giant hoverboard with handles. And in 2009, a man bought Segway Inc. and became the CEO. And unfortunately, just 1 year later, in 2010, he fell off a cliff while on his own Segway while demonstrating its safety procedures. Coming in at number 2, we have the execution of George, the Duke of Clarence. He was the brother of 2 English kings and was sentenced to death in 1478. However, his only request for his execution is that he was to be drowned by a barrel of wine, which goes to show just how much he loved his drinks. And at number 1, the strangest way that somebody has ever died happened in 2013. In the middle of the night, a Brazilian man was fast asleep when a cow fell through his roof and crushed him. And apparently, according to local media of the town, this is the 3rd time that this has happened. Weird.
Cows falling from the sky?
Report at the hospital, there were several missed opportunities where the consultants went to, in some form or another, a meeting, an email, a conversation where they were raising these concerns.
Arguably 15, 20 times they went to managers and flagged their concerns, and not only were they being dismissed, these external reports were being established that were, never going to get to the bottom of why the children were unexpectedly collapsing and dying. We know that now with hindsight. But they were also, by the end, being victimised, bullied. The doctors were actually looking for new jobs. Some of them, their mental health, really suffered because they felt this burden. Should we as individuals have gone to the police early?
This is one of the heartbreaking true stories that likely inspired adolescents. When actor and writer Stephen Graham was asked about stories that inspired the show, he said, "Where it came from for me is there was an incident in Liverpool, a young girl, she was unalived to death by a young boy, and I just thought, why?" It's being reported that he was likely referring to the high-profile case of Ava White. Ava White was an innocent 12-year-old girl who lost her life after attending a Christmas light switch on in Liverpool city centre. She was reportedly approached by a group of teenage boys, and a verbal argument broke out after one of the boys apparently filmed her without her permission and put the video on Snapchat. After Ava asked for the video to be removed from Snapchat, one of the boys, who was aged 14 at the time, unalived her with a knife. I'm sorry I have to use this strange lingo on TikTok, I just don't want to have the video flagged. The schoolboys were all questioned by police, but ultimately it was decided that one of the boys, a 14-year-old, was guilty of taking her life. The young boy who was found guilty of taking Ava's life was sentenced to a minimum of 13 years. One of the similarities between adolescence and this heartbreaking true story is that the boy that was found guilty actually maintained that he was innocent right up until the end. But it wasn't just this story alone that inspired the show. Stephen Graham also said there's a number of stories he's seen on the news about young boys being violent towards young girls that did inspire the story. He also specifically mentions the case of Brianna Gay, who was lured into a park by 2 teenagers and unalived. He said, "I just thought, what's going on and what is happening?"
Facts that might save your life one day. Alright, so if a person you don't know shows up to your house and asks for help in the middle of the night, do not open the door, especially if you're a girl alone, because human traffickers tend to use these tactics to lure girls outside. So just make sure all your doors are locked and call the police straight away. Next, if you ever feel like something bad is about to happen, trust your guts and just leave, because in most cases you might be right. Now, if you're ever involved in a plane crash and it crashes in the ocean, whatever you do, do not inflate your life jacket. Instead, wait until you're outside the plane, because if you inflate it while you're inside, you could get trapped inside as the water level rises. And finally, if you were ever to go homeless during winter, do not sleep on the ground, because people have literally frozen to death that way. Instead, try to find some cardboard pieces and sleep on that, because the ground itself absorbs way more heat than cardboard.
We learning. Those are some interesting facts, man. Especially while on the plane about not having, you know, a life jacket. I didn't even know something like that could happen. You could get trapped in there by the water. Fun fact, I still have never flown on a plane before. And what's going on now? I don't think I will anytime soon. Get out of you guys, man.
This video will keep you up at night. A man was working as a security guard at a warehouse during his night shift, and he began to feel a little creeped out when weird things started going on in the warehouse around him. He was the only one in the warehouse, and it was about 2:30 in the morning. So he brought out his phone in hopes to catch something unexplainable on camera. At first, the video he took seems pretty normal. There's absolutely nothing weird going on. But when he pans over to the food he brought, the apple moves on its own. He goes to reach for his apple, but right when he does this, the cup on his desk seemingly moves on its own. The man is obviously pretty frightened by this and doesn't know how to react. But when he goes to grab the cup, it again moves on its own away from his hand. Many people believe that this is staged, however, it looks pretty real. What do you guys think?
Here are some accidents that changed the world forever. A scientist left a dirty Petri dish on his desk, came back days later, and then realized the mold inside had just killed bacteria, accidentally discovering antibiotics. A radar engineer felt a strange heat in his pocket, looked down and saw that his chocolate bar was melting. He had just invented the microwave. A chemist trying to make a super strong glue ended up with one so weak it barely stuck, but years later, that failure became Post-it notes. A naval engineer dropped a metal spring, watched it bounce perfectly down a flight of stairs, and turned that mistake into the slinky. A physicist experimenting with electricity saw his own bones glowing through his hand, and before he even knew what it was, he had discovered X-rays. A man pulled burrs off his dog's fur, realized nature had built the perfect hook and loop system, and turned it into Velcro. A scientist building a heart monitor grabbed the wrong part, made the circuit pulse, and unknowingly created the first pacemaker. An ice cream vendor ran out of cups, spotted a waffle maker next to him, and rolled one into a cone, changing ice cream forever. 2 astronomers kept hearing annoying static in their telescope, thought it was bird poop, and accidentally found proof of the Big Bang. A company selling wallpaper cleaner was going bankrupt, until they realized kids were playing with it, so they rebranded it as Play-Doh. A scientist knocked a coated glass flask onto the floor, watched it crack but not shatter, and accidentally invented safety glass. A chemist absorbed an experimental chemical through his skin, started hallucinating, and unknowingly discovered LSD. This is the scariest.
The LSD one, man. Imagine that never would have happened, man. I didn't realize so many of the greatest inventions, man, they came from this freak accidents or failures, and people just picked up with some of those ideas and just kept going. Goes to show you, man, there's success even in failures. Just gotta learn from them.
Story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip one day. Everybody was taking pictures with their phones and cameras and having such a great time. But when they all got back to school, they started looking through all the photos they took, when suddenly one of the girls screamed, "Oh my God, what is that?" In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus, and nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, and completely mutating. Also, there was a white floating figure behind him in the reflection. Everybody turned the photo upside down and realized it was a human skull, and it was horrific. And when the boy saw the photo of himself, he immediately burst into tears and had a panic attack. The teacher then took the boy to the nurse's office, and the principal banned everybody from speaking about the strange photo ever again. And to make this even scarier, 7 days later, the boy died from a brain tumor. The photo is said to be on the internet somewhere, but I don't recommend looking for it.
Can someone explain to me what happened to these trucks? Would you rather live here with unlimited food and no internet, or date the third person who appears when you click share and then more? This is supposedly footage of an alien abduction caught on CCTV.
Check it out. Just vanished. What the heck? Just plopped them back down.
Question time. How old would you be if your age was flipped backwards? Let me know down below. Should this family get rid of this doll or not?
It's what happens whenever I put her near my daughter's old Cabbage Patch doll. But that's not the weirdest part. There's no batteries.
What the hell's going on?
But wait, there's more. I even cut the wire to see if that would stop it. Is she causing this?
Yeah. You know we don't do dolls over here, man. House opera with no battery and he cut the wires? I don't know if that's staged or not, man. That was eerie. You know what that is.
Last month, 3 suitcases were discovered in Florida with human remains inside, and now a man has been arrested for his wife's murder. On July 21st, police in Delray Beach, Florida found a suitcase in the Intercoastal Waterway after someone called 911 to report something strange they saw in the waterway. This discovery, police found 2 more suitcases nearby, and the next day found 2 additional bags. Inside the suitcases and bags were human remains of a woman only described at the time as, quote, a white or Hispanic middle-aged woman with brown hair, approximately 5'4". The investigation into these suitcases led police to surveillance footage that then led them to a suspect. Multiple witnesses told detectives about a vehicle and person who was seen in the area multiple times before the suitcases were found. A couple who lived near where the suitcases were discovered told detectives they saw a white male looking into the Intercoastal Waterway several days before July 21st, the day the suitcase was found. They said he appeared to be looking for something, presumably the suitcase, and they saw him 5 to 6 times over a 3-day period before the 21st. When confronted by the couple, the man said he was waiting for the big boat to come into the harbor. Another group of witnesses who were working on a roof at a property next to where the 3rd suitcase was found said that they saw the same man standing on the seawall looking at the suitcase before he got into his car and left. Video surveillance in the area captured a vehicle tag that led them to their suspect. Delray Beach resident William Lowe, and he had a wife that matched the name that came back from an airline scan code on one of the suitcases. Adil Barbosa Fontes matched the brief description of the remains found in the suitcase, and she shared the same address as Lowe. This led police to acquire a search warrant for the home of 78-year-old Lowe. In searching his home, police found blood spatter throughout the residence, including in the living room, dining room, and primary bathroom. There were also drag marks observed throughout the home, and cleaning supplies that contained blood splatter were found as well. While they were executing the search warrant, detectives said that Lowe attempted to re-enter through the back window, and when he was stopped, he just said he was trying to get his phone and the keys to his storage unit. The search of that storage unit uncovered a chainsaw that appeared to have blood and human hair on it. After all of this, Lowe was arrested on July 31st. During questioning, he reportedly said that his wife Adil had been in Brazil for about 3 weeks. But when questioned further about her trip, he did not know how she got to the airport, what airline she flew on, or the last time he spoke to her. When shown photos of the suitcases, Lowe reportedly said he had never seen them before. But police knew at least one of them belonged to his wife because of the airline tag that had her name connected to it. And when they asked Lowe about this, he just said, "I don't know." The day after Lowe's arrest, the victim found in the suitcases was positively identified through dental records as Adil Barbosa Fontes. ME declared the manner of death to be homicide and the cause of death to be a gunshot wound to the head. The next day, Lowe was charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a dead body. He was denied bail and he has not yet entered a plea, so he remains in prison until his next hearing. Hopefully, he will have to pay for what he did. Rest in peace, Adil.
Chilling story. I don't know how a husband could do that to his own wife. You see some creepy clowns? You guys remember that creepy clown trend, man, on YouTube? That was a freaking time, bro. You risk your life in these streets, man, trying to dress up as a clown. It ain't worth it, man. These clowns are freaking eerie, bro. They posing.
Facts that will make your day. In movies where they use dogs as actors, editors have to commonly CGI another tail on the dog because they won't stop wagging it. Because guinea pigs are considered very social animals, it is illegal and considered animal abuse in Switzerland to own just one. All of the cardigans Mr. Rogers wore on camera were knit by his mother. These take naps in flowers. This penguin that lives in Norway was actually recently officially knighted. Otters hold each other's hands when they sleep so that their mate won't float away. Van Gogh didn't start painting until his late 20s. Whatever you're going through in life right now, it's not going to last forever. Follow for more.
True words, especially what it said then.
How rare is your body? Part 2. Less than 6% of people can vibrate their eyes and rapidly shake them back and forth. 33% of people have an astigmatism. This makes lights look blurry and fuzzy, like in this photo. 16% of people can make a roaring noise with their jaw. They can control a muscle that most people can't, and it makes a loud roar. 14% of people don't have a palmaris longus, and this is the muscle that sticks out when you flex your hand like this. Only about 33% of people can actually whistle, and unfortunately, I'm not one of them. Next, less than 3% of people have an X on both their palms, and it's said to be a sign of strong character. Finally, only 11% of people have naturally curly hair, so if this is you, consider yourself rare. Now comment which ones you have.
Comment down below so you can see guys how many of those freaking weird body parts, man.
Ask what is the most wholesome animal on earth. Brother, if you wanted a manatee video, you could have just asked. Did you know when alligators and manatees cross paths underwater, the alligators seem to let them pass? A prehistoric sledgehammer, and they give manatees the right of way. That's how you know you got motion in the ocean. There's never been a record of a manatee attacking a human, and it might be because it's literally physically impossible. One is because their teeth are way in their mouths, and their mode is designed for grinding grass, not biting
You know, if you ever get bit by a manatee, that means you were in his throat. And if you were, that means this law was for you. Some things don't need exploring, Columbus. Also, some scientists think that because adult manatees have no predators and because they don't have to fight each other over who eats what grass, there's a lot of talk that the sea squishy is mentally incapable of feeling aggression. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I will say 3 things. 1, they don't just eat grass, they'll go pescatarian if the opportunity presents itself. 2, as fast as you think manatees are, they're faster. It might not be with malicious intent, but 1,200 pounds of anything moving like that is definitely cause to pause. And 3, last year a popular manatee named Hugh, past tense, after essentially explicit interaction with a bigger male named Buffett, tore him open like a reverse butt birth. The catch: Buffett was his brother. Yeah, that's pretty bad, but did you know manatees are also closely related to my favorite animal? Even got the same nail tech. So yeah, I'm a little biased, so I'm gonna let it slide. Especially since I'm pretty sure it wasn't aggression, but just a dangerous lack of awareness. But yeah, God bless this water blimp, and R.I.P. Hugh.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. You die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. And pigs get a cold, like a cough. Very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
I had no idea pigs did that. Mine is actually blown. What the hell? And he survived that? We learning out here today, Seekers, man. I guess you do not want you don't get your pig sick, bro, if you're a farmer. You don't have to push that back in, man. Whoa. That's an eerie fact, bro, about pigs.
How rare is your body?
Let's talk about it.
1% of people can wiggle their ears voluntarily, and only 10% of people have a small hole above their ear. If you have one, only 20% of people can actually flare their nostrils. I thought everyone could do it. Next, only 2% of people have Norton's toe, where the second toe is longer than the big toe. Those are some weird toes. And finally, around 20% of people have a rare condition where they can taste colors and see sound. I guess tasting the rainbow could be a real thing.
People born with crazy mutations. This is Johnny M. He had a condition called caudal regression syndrome, which basically meant he had no lower body. He worked as a sideshow performer in circuses back in 1930, and he actually played Goonie Bird in the original Tarzan movie.
This is how rare your body is actually compared to the rest of the world. Only about 10% of people have what is called Morton's toe. This is when your big toe is shorter than the one next to it.
Don't have it.
It's said that it may actually have an advantage in athletics. Only 10% of people also have what is called Darwin's turbitole. It's this little bump on the outside of your ear. People who have this are better at sensing voice tonality. Next one I thought everyone could do, but apparently only 30% of people could flare their nostrils. Go ahead and try it. There's a good chance you might not be able to do this. This one's super. Only 5% of people have their tongues tied to their mouth. Whoa. Only 26% of people have a narrator in their head. Most people don't have a voice inside their head when they think. Less than 1% of people have unbreakable bones inside of them. That's literally superhuman. Lastly, only 35% of people are able to gleek. This is when you can shoot a stream of saliva from under your tongue.
Okay. Gleek. Shooting saliva out your damn. I know for a fact I can't do that. And if you guys, you can, man. If you guys have any weird body parts, man, or you can do any of that weird stuff, comment down below. That's just interesting to me, bro. The human body never ceases to amaze me, man. We got superhumans out here too with unbreakable bones. Whew.
Creepy facts I bet you didn't know, part 1. Doctors originally invented the chainsaw for childbirth. 4,400 unidentified bodies are found every single year. There's over 18.6 million vacant homes in the United States. In 1800, dentures were made from the teeth of the deceased. The Devil's Bible is a real thing. It's called the Codex Gigas.
Man. Staying away from that, bro. The Codex Gigas? That bad energy away from me. That's an edit.
These are dark web stories that you were never supposed to know, but I'm telling you anyways.
Talk about it.
Today's story, Locked In. Warning, today's video will discuss very brutal and graphic content. Viewer discretion is advised. One day there was a hacker who had never been on the dark web before and wanted to explore it for himself. So when he started exploring the dark web, he joined a random chat room with strangers in which one of the strangers sent him a link. So the hacker, thinking he knows what he's doing, clicks the link. And that link sent him straight to a red room. And basically what a red room is it's a live stream where people are brutally tortured and murdered. But not just that, the person watching the live stream pays tons of money to see the person behind the screen get brutally tortured or murdered the way they want it to be. The boy then freaked out and threatened to tell the cops they didn't stop. And when he tried to leave the site, the X in the corner wasn't working. One of the other watchers then chimed in and said, "Logan, you can't leave." Crazy thing was, his name is Logan, but he never told anyone that.
The weirdest things found underwater, part 1. On June 18th, 2021, a woman named Jennifer Dowker was diving in the Sheboygan River in Michigan when she found a stuffed bottle. Inside it was a letter from 1926 which stated, "Will the person who finds this bottle return this paper to George Morrow in Sheboygan, Michigan, and tell where it was found." Jennifer then posted it on social media and it went viral. After some time, George Morrow's daughter saw it and contacted her and said that her dad must have placed the message in the bottle when he was just 18 years old. And in 1944, a boy from Estonia noticed tank tracks leading into a lake, and he saw air bubbles rising to the surface for 2 months straight. He waited for a while, but then moved on. However, decades later, he suddenly remembered that incident and told others about his memories, including the leader of the War History Club. This led to a recovery in 2000 of a Soviet T-34 World War II tank, which had been underwater since 1944.
I was not prepared for how tragic this documentary was. It's called Six Schizophrenic Brothers, and it's about the Galvin family, which is a family with 12 children where 6 of the 12 kids were diagnosed with schizophrenia. Also, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page and have lots of documentary recs, so you should follow along. Life in the Galvin household was absolute chaos. One by one, half of the siblings started exhibiting really scary symptoms of schizophrenia, like delusions and extreme violence. Like, one of them thought they were Paul McCartney, and the other one thought they were Jesus. It started with Don, the oldest sibling, who started experiencing these symptoms when he was in his 20s, but after Don, it was like dominoes falling, and each kid started being diagnosed younger and younger. I think they said Peter was like 14 when he started having symptoms, and as this is happening, it's like the 60s and 70s and 80s when we still don't really know anything about schizophrenia. So doctors for the longest time thought it was the mother that was triggering this in all of her sons. But now we know that most likely these boys all had a gene for schizophrenia that was triggered by stress. And one of the most devastating things they say in this documentary is that the oldest 3 sons used to go on these trips with this one priest in town, and now with everything we know about the church and the scandals, it's suggested that the boys were abused, and that was the thing that triggered the gene inside of them. Anyways, there's so much more to it. They even have some of the schizophrenic brothers talk, and mostly the documentary centers on the youngest sister who is still taking care of everyone today, so I definitely recommend watching it.
Okay, I thought this was like
insane story.
The stuff of the dark web, but this story is actually going to make its way to the big screen because I just watched the trailer. So you know, like the Terrifier 2, the Terrifier 3, absolutely horrifying, but if you're a horror fan like I am, you love it. So it's the same folks who created those films. They're behind the new film called Stream. Try to picture this with me. It basically takes place in a remote hotel. There is like some sort of seedy event going on where they basically gamified a hunt for people. These are like people who are just roaming the building. That as a concept is some sinister stuff. And from what I can see from the trailer, while this is all going down, it's like somebody is watching this. Like, it's live. And it seems sick, but there's a very real possibility to some of the voyeurism of that. This movie's gonna be insane. I'm like dying to see it. So Stream is gonna hit theaters August 21st. Make sure to go get your tickets and tell me what you think.
You won't believe this crazy discovery about 9/11. Everybody knows that on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers in New York City were struck by 2 airplanes and both towers collapsed to the ground. Thousands of people were killed and the damage was devastating. However, in 2010, workers excavating the crash site discovered something very strange. They discovered the remains of a 30-foot-long wooden boat that was buried underneath the 9/11 rubble. The question soon became, how did a shipwreck end up 22 feet beneath the World Trade Center? Scientists began to research and analyze the wood that was found from the ship. And in 2014, they were able to conclude that the ship was built around the 1770s, around the same time as the Declaration of Independence. And it's believed that the ship was sailing through Lower Manhattan where it sunk. And as New York City began to grow, the city of Manhattan expanded right over the top of the ship.
Man, bro, we building over ships. That really puts into perspective, man, how many other freaking, I guess, monuments and stuff was built on something, man, that they had no idea that's below it. Whole city, whole countries built on things, man. There could be buried treasure, buried history below. You never know.
New fear unlocked.
Oh.
What was on her TV?
I accidentally went to sleep with YouTube playing on my TV, and it's like the middle of the night. And then when I woke up from my dream, this was on my TV. Who are you? Why is that on my TV? When I tell you, I just felt pants. I'm not kidding. And I'm missing an earring.
My soul left my body. What? Do you think skinwalkers are real?
The hell was that? Is that edit? Is that legit? It's like 3 of them. What the fuck? That one, man. Is that cap or fact? Here's this guy, man.
Weird facts you didn't know. Part 10. Your nose can remember 50,000.
It smells? Really?
Strange facts you should know about. Not being able to find a sexual partner is now a disability. The inventor of Vaseline had a spoonful of the stuff every single day. He lived to the age of 96. Applying sweat from the male underarm to the top of a woman's lip has been shown to reduce stress and improve mood during menstruation. If you have $10 in your pocket and no debt, you are richer than 15% of American households. You can overdose and die from too much coffee. It would take around 100 cups. Watching a scary movie can help burn up to 183 calories in one sitting.
I think the thing that got to me, if you have $10 in your pocket with no debt, that's better than 50% of America. That's sad.
Why does this mountain have stripes? It was called Motto, and its size was approximately 600 feet tall.
Giant bear was clawing the mountain.
Weird things around the world caught on camera. This beach in the Maldives is the only place in the world where the water glows. Now, it doesn't really happen often, but when it does, it looks magical. Next, this 12-year-old girl from Lebanon cries crystals from her eyes. And even after visiting a few doctors, they still have no idea how she does it. And this is what happens when you're cooking and it's super cold. Apparently, a tornado starts forming. Pretty cool. In some parts of India, people cook their food in very hot sand. Now, what I want to know is what happens when sand sticks to your food. Do you just eat it?
You got a freaking girl crying crystals. That was the most bizarre thing I think we come across yet watching these clips together, Seekers. And the doctors have no explanation about it. What the hell?
Here is what your birthmark says about your past life. And let me know which birthmark you have in the comments. If you don't have a birthmark at all, that either means you died of natural causes in your past life or you never had a past life. So essentially this is your first life. Basically, you're brand new. If you have a red birthmark anywhere on your body, that means fire had a part to play in taking you out of your last life. If you have a spot on your eye, all I can say is damn, because this is from a spear wound when someone killed you in your sleep. Now, if you have freckles anywhere on your body, that shows you where you've been burned in your past life. And basically serves as a reminder to not make the same mistake again. But tell me, do you have a brown birthmark? If you do, that's the area you were shot in your past life. And every brown birthmark equals another shot. If you have a birthmark on your ear, it means you were incredibly wealthy in your past life. And if you have birthmarks on both your ears, it means you're going to be incredibly successful in this one. And finally, if you have a birthmark on the side of your nose, it means you actually killed someone in your past life because of rage. Everybody with me?
Where's your birthmarks, man? Hopefully y'all got the birthmarks down there. It's
On
be
November
successful.
1987, police responded to Russell Dardine's home when he failed to report to work. When they got to his home, they discovered the body of his wife and his son, both who had brutal beatings on them. His wife, Ruby, had been beaten so bad she went into premature labor. She was pregnant with their upcoming daughter, and even the premature daughter was beaten too. Obviously, police suspected that it was Russell Dardine because he is suspect number one, being the spouse. However, that's not the case. His body was then found in a field later that day with his genitals mutilated. The case went cold for almost 15 years until the early 2000s. A serial killer by the name of Tommy Lynn Sells had pled to the killings of the Dardine family. He only pled guilty after he had been sentenced to death for another murder. However, because of the legal system and the restrictions there, police were skeptical about his claims. For this reason, he was never formally charged with the killings of the Dardine family. So officially, the Dardine family killings still remain unsolved to this very day. Do you guys think Tommy Lynn Sells did it, or was he making it up? I have a feeling he did, and then they didn't want to go through the legal paperwork of charging him for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.
They deserve justice, man. If he admitted to it, then paperwork shouldn't even matter.
I'm being serious. If you ever see this at the beach, do not touch it. And if it ever latches onto you like this, get help immediately. Before you do anything else, favorite this video because this could actually save your life one day. Now at first glance, like me, you would think this is an alien creature from the deepest corners of hell. Whereas in fact, this is actually a detached octopus limb. Oh yes, if an octopus's arm becomes disconnected from its body, it does have the ability to live on for a short period of time by itself, explaining why it's able to move like a creature straight out of an alien movie. This of course is absolutely horrifying and a brand new conversation to bring up with your therapist if you saw this going about its business on the beach. Now the suction power of this single arm would be incredibly difficult to remove on your own, because if you didn't know, one suction cup from an octopus can hold up to 35 pounds. I'm talking Great British, and on top of that hurts. Like really badly. Now this most likely wouldn't make this gentleman a Twitter hashtag. However, I wouldn't like to imagine if this was stuck on a more sensitive part of the body.
Oh no.
Like the neck. So here's the best case scenario. You see it, you avoid it, you survive. I've said this to literally anyone you know because they might need this video one day.
Here's the only way to survive a tsunami. Run the other way. Try and get at least 4 kilometers from the ocean. If you can't do this in time, then try and get 30 meters above sea level. Try to get to the roof of a building with a sturdy concrete foundation. Now if you can't run away in time, or get to the roof of a building 30 meters above sea level, grab something and hold on to it. Many tsunami victims have been saved by holding on to something, such as Petra Nemkova, a supermodel who was saved by holding onto a palm tree. Once the first wave settles, stay in a safe spot. Typically the first tsunami wave isn't the strongest.
This is the disturbing truth about Christmas. This is Black Peter, and he spends the whole year spying on kids, taking note on who has been good and who has been bad. Every single Christmas, Black Peter goes with Santa from house to house, and while Santa gives presents to the good kids, Black Peter punishes the bad ones, and this is what he does to them. At first, he will leave you a bag of twigs and a pile of coal. But if you have been really bad, Black Peter will snatch you from your bed and throw you into a sack. He will then kidnap you and take you to his coal mine, where he will chain you up and make you his slave. You will then work for him for the rest of your life, and if Black Peter ever gets sick of you, he will just simply eat you. So if this doesn't motivate you to make the nice list, then I don't know what will. Are fairies real?
Black Peter, stay away.
This is the spot. Nah, come back out. Why are you eating like that? Eat it. Alright, so look, let me know.
She found a mermaid's purse.
The hell was that? Is that made out of like the seaweed or something?
This man in Russia found.
What the f is that? That picture is that an edit?
Do you believe in fairies yet?
This thing just fell out of the sky from nowhere, and now I am convinced that there is such thing as fairies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just on a walk, and I'm on the road, and it just fell in the middle of the road with no trees.
Facebook is under fire for these video games. People are upset at the Facebook advertised mobile game Project Makeover for pushing these inappropriate ads that feature a lot of farting. Furthermore, these ads are misleading because the gameplay is nothing like what you see. Just to be sure, I went and downloaded the game for research purposes, and I'm very disappointed in the fact that I can't sniff any farts in the game.
Those ads are out of control. I'll be seeing that sometimes on freaking Twitter too, but you know Twitter had to be having a freaking community note, so they be saying that gameplay stuff is not true, it's not real. I wonder how many advertisers are getting away with that, man. Making false promises on a game but getting all that money. Of course Facebook said that as well. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, please make sure you guys hit that like button, man. Comment down below. Like I said, all the comments, man, they help push us into the algorithm, so I really appreciate it. Follow me on my social medias, man. Like I said, I've been seeing you guys support you've been showing us past couple of videos. I appreciate it, man. I'm loving it. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to get better with each and every single video, man. Guys can catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.